NFM Radio emudaho. Ben you NFM Radio Jumedia Mansa Musa ede bro ejuada kopem memneda enumre non song ekopem non du. Listen to Fire Will Burn You on NFM Radio with Mansa Musa Monday to Saturday 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Right. Fire will burn you. Fire is gonna burn you. Good evening. Welcome to NFM Radio. Another beautiful Saturday evening here in London. Hopefully, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I am sure everything is going on nicely in your lives. Anyway, tonight another night for us to go on with the scrutiny. Go on with the questions, the what if and what about of what is happening in Ghana. And that is, I haven't seen a time when almost a whole regime period has been that of let's wait till election. Everybody is anticipating, everyone is waiting. So tonight we'll dedicate most of the time for one-to-one interview with one of the guys who wants to be a flag bearer for NPP. His name is Kwabena Age Agyapong. Those of you in the political circles in Ghana, you should know Kwabena Agyapong. He's a veteran. He's young, but he's still a veteran. I mean, in terms of political age, he's very young indeed. And he's, well educated, and he's got his head on his neck. He's got everything well situated. He's got his wits about him, and he knows what he's supposed to know. So tonight, Yene Kwabena Agyapong ebedi enkomo. Enkomo na ebedi no. We will spread it somehow between say ye kano akamu and ye kano brofumunzo, because ye kasi ye kan brofunu finchim na ye nuanu mu ne ye nkrofo bi o Ghana omo ntiasie entino ye de mix it. We will mix it up and see what we got to do. For a start though, let's go and take one or two of our sponsors' message, then we will be back to continue.
Connect so emani sika de bagana if we asia fanani na yentia kapre ane aye free top connect amasika mani ayem rekra ye wo hia ne se wo be download the top connect app no e Play Store diama wo Android phone and as we use iPhone so ko Apple Store na download the top connect aye simple kra top connect wa manda radio num so wo Europe, North America and Asia wo mane wo dofu sika fa top connect so aye ntem na emre na ma wa hoto so sese die sika manye di foforo kra any top connect so we yan chechemu bia for top connect our +442 081 6155 and a +442 081 761 600 +447 882 950 088 and nasa hwehwe top connect our befontin tefidie nyina so top connect for sika mane wa dofo asumjemu a untia kapre top connect yensu ye die nie
Abusia, let me go straight to the point. We will find wada. Once you attack and send says so, your work can see come air conditioner, and also dumb air conditioning, and said that more can see no crane say. One funny papa and installation now, Mountia. With everything called enterprise, air conditioning installation at the Mawa, Udamo, a Rubia, okay, you, never cold room, it's a cold stores, and a Bavia, you didn't ever see, I was saying, you know, everything called enterprise. Every nice one at your Mawa, a Rubia, no, but you Dika. You install central air conditioning, split air conditioning, car air conditioning, never solar panels on Sua. You want a nice Eddie Mawa, or you will be a bus straight, not to your body will fee. So, what do you say? And our gas in a say you'll come with the anal dear, and our coast store dear. You know, a very nice and quick, but we will be a you don't have a yet the amount. Most of more bridge, I'm always sit down, oh, my can over to me, I'm afraid you can lie with so. Yeah, install air conditioning, Ibiamamu. Try plus 447508650279. Oh, wager, I just sent Ghana Fire Service. Wow, friends, 0544-489-343 and 0302-906-276. Your website, you know, everythingcode.org. And I send you an email, kjamwako@yahoo.co.uk. Everything Code Enterprise, air conditioning, master, no.
President Nanado, your friend Matheson, Sunyana Namo. Makwatna awonu Holland, Akwa Sam in Fifure. Sikaka kre minya yeno. Mediaba mia me maimu, Ghana. Diababe to registered bank, AJN bank. President Nanado, Uber TV so be catch Ghana for say. JN bank anye nejumaye. Tiwaje bank ne licenses no. With the customers misika be more. 3 years money, mensanka emisika. Sika kakre ka ye no so 550 million. Media kwa to commercial bank. Na me say commercial bank de me di misika koto ho a e save. President Nanado enam IMF bosia na wo kwa akoboni nti. Osimi misika 550 million na odi akwa akoye adwuma nya interest wo so no. Once the Quran umfa mame. Misika trene no so. Ose umfa mame. Jese 2024. Na sika no interest ketuwa no a menya no. Obema me mu 5%. Menya adwuma wo Ghana. Mintimi so enko Holland se me koye adwuma. Mimfi akọ animu kakra. Kwan ben so na mefa so a me na me yire ne me mba yibedidi. Mr. President, mesrɛ se me ma se me be street carefully ho. Mia me sika makosam mfifire enya no. Mesrɛ se obema mensa aka. Obi bia obi tie saa me audio me recording yi bi no. Mesrɛ se mo de beto mo platform so. Ebetimi afa so ma President Nanado nensa aka. We nyamase ni bi etie. Ghana mpanyinfo mesrɛ mo so se mo ne President Nanado be kasa ma me. Medamase.
Good morning, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I'm paying me bano boko. Midin the ASP retired Franklin Nate. Mesun Ghana ewo police mu 24 plus years. Na me gratuity me san kano me di top bond 2 years aka 1 year this year September 2023 na me bond no amateur wu adwina wo di ba ye say wakoboka ana wa bugana abofom enti me bra ma bre sika medi to bond no commercial bank no onfa mame we enye am robber ene ebe chimeji misika o man penyi a ya tu abama no se onhwe yeso emra wo fru plane 18,000 pounds an hour nkrofo catch reo wante emra wo fa so many ministers se omunu na oni omu betumi aye adwuma nkrofo catch reo wante ene your incompetence inti me bre amabre me disika yedi tua me ka se gratuity me fa hwe me ho so no usi wafa ti se 2033 se mi manu na upese omumbe jisika na me na no mu a menim president woni diemu Israel unuana ni bank edi enim eji loans no mfaso a wanya no Israel mano fa nsa mfaso no ekutu yesika no mesika no mfa mame nanado utrimu yedin papa obi a maye juma Ghana mra kire se 24 years plus no yentua meka as a retired officer no usi untua meka menya 60 years here nanado minister mibisa wo have you been a civil servant in Ghana before? Have you worked as a civil servant? Please nanado mimpese mbe kasatia o mimpese mbe dumi wusu eni ubusia derby idi yawo esreo tise na Mr. Matheson efrisunyani esreo no Jaimisi mami midin di ASP Franklin Kwesi Nate mi tome bon wo commercial bank. It was Accra North branch. Please, I beg you, in the name of God, don't touch my money. Don't touch my money. Don't touch my money. Anybody who receives this, please send it to as many platforms for Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo to see, to hear, and to see. Or his cousin Ken Oforiatta should hear. Please, 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 Nanado, I'm not supposed to beg you. Because when you were begging that you should be tried, I remember traveling from Kumasi to Kofrodua to vote for you 2016, thinking you are bringing something on board. I regretted it. I have regretted all my life. Some friends told me, Anka unya accident to question na uya. Well, Nanado, please, whoever received this message, forward it to as many platforms. Let Nanado hear me and ensure I have my money. Thank you.
What's name wacha? Mama inji 2 years. Says the fear bia 2 years. I want them. What's name? What's name 2 years? We are 2 years account. Says no. Sir, dan someone has a per se. Open single room. Says no put 600. Put 500. Put 700, 800. You're dying. Says agent for age 100 CDs for viewing fee, and I say 80 Ghana for viewing fee. Just show you the room. Says if you're a full beard, your mother agent for Uchia 9,600. Also Uchia agent 900, 600, 900 and almost 1,000 CDs. Why? Says you to the day. Why? Like why? What, like, why? Hey, like, it's serious. Say, Matsna demo 2 years, I'm paying 8,000. Now I'm supposed to pay 9,600. And you're taking the 2 years. You take 1 year and put. Because you see, me and 6 months and 1 year. Se si ade wo ye adwuma me fiera wo be boaboa no busumi pay a de be ma say 600 or say 700 you have to eat only small one pay because a whole month no pay enti baka wo a be den wo ma hwe bibi yi o wo ma hwe bibi yi wo man mu ampani fo mo nka ho asem hwe na youth for ne ye bre na ye kunkum ye ni how a direct nti ye be di ponti no wo be komo ye kun Bobe koma ye kunti youth nti ye bra muhu edan sem kunye adai how Ghana ye ble papa adai and then fiera walk in nka jeferese me patro me pedan mo do because who agent viewing fees so do cut set them or bet you 80 cedis and now say 100 cedis and then dan so man dying who got 600 oh single room name or do 2 years 600 cedis 2 years because of that into the ultimate mother or no person or two now or do a for the show on what 600 what 500 then they would turn into a person who 2 years. Ati mu nka ho hwe man ye say youth ne ye bre ye ya ne ye beto abo ne ye aso ye to aba na me de be influence nko for keke
so basically what you have there are you have communication specialists, directors of communications, deputy directors of communications, technical communication assistants, media aides, media liaison officers, communication consultants, presidential advisor on media who has a technical director to the presidential advisor. Then you have the ministers of state at the presidency.
And these guys are there for information minister.
Yes.
No, go through that list again. Just on the communication side.
There's a lot to communicate.
Stop it.
I'm just telling you.
You have information minister who's cabinet level.
Who has ISD working for him too.
And then you're having all these guys working under the presidency.
Who work under communications directorate. Yeah.
Of the presidency.
Yeah. There's a lot to communicate.
Can't be serious.
I'm just telling you there's a lot to communicate.
So and what are the conditions of service of these people?
Nobody knows. That's the issue.
That's why the transparency is not. So if I'm a lecturer in Legon and I've been teaching for 15 years, right? And I struggle to get my PhD. And then you have somebody who is a technical director to who has access to fuel. Read the letter they wrote. They said their fuel thing is not gone up. So this technical director, what's the competence, what's the qualification of somebody to do this work? So if we are not transparent, and I'm saying that this is mathematics, this one is not sentiment. If the government wants the pressure from the labor unions to go down, and they want to, and if they want a credible plan for IMF to, if the plan is not credible, see, if people don't accept the plan, it's not credible. If the labor unions, the businesses don't accept the policy, the IMF will not accept it. So if they will not be transparent with these guys and say, this is what we are doing, I can't understand why you have all these guys working and what are they doing? You said they have a lot to communicate. What are they communicating?
I'm just telling you. But if what would be the justification for
look at
directors of communications?
Mention the mention the post again. Mention the thing again.
So the directors of communications.
How many directors of communication?
Yes, 4.
4 directors of communication, and then deputy director of communication.
There are 5 deputy directors
at the presidency.
Yes.
And then which one again?
2 communication specialists.
So the director is not a specialist. Okay, the specialist below.
There's a lot to communicate.
2 communication specialists and
2
then
communication officers. 5 technical communication assistants.
So you have 4, 5, 9, 6, 7 plus 3, 10, 15.
Media aid.
How many?
1.
Media aid.
16,
assistant media liaison
16,
officer.
17.
Communication consultant.
18.
Then there's a presidential advisor on media.
Charlie, are you sure you're not joking? Are you sure? What are you? What is not joking? What are you saying? No.
Of all the positions,
guys, let's go through this again. Let's go through this thing again. I want to be sure. And sorry if we are picking.
So you are listening to Sibisa whilst myself and my producer are trying to sort out the Zoom system. So as arranged, exactly 8 p.m., Mr. Kwabena Age Agyapong, he wants to be a flag bearer for the NPP. Most people will tell you that, you know, if the NPP is to be maintained or it should remain in power, at least they should have new faces, people who have nothing at all to do with this sort of Kufuor governance. And many people will tell you that somebody like Kwabena Age Agyapong will be the best, you know, among the rest to take the NPP from this, you know, this particular situation we are or we find ourselves in. So tonight, as already said, we will try and get a lot of understanding from him, what he wants to do, how he wants to do it. Mansa Musa is here. You can join the Zoom as and when it's ready. As we speak, my engineer is sorting everything out. Let's go for one or two of our adverts.
Say dear, yenam top connect so emanisika de bagana if we are fanani na yenchia capre. Ane, aye free. Top connect a masika money I am rekra. You hear say download it with Top Connect app no our Play Store. Diama with Android phone. And as we use iPhone so or Apple Store not download the Top Connect. Aye simple cra. Top Connect to a mind radio numsu Europe, North America and Asia. Woman will dofu sika for Top Connect so aye tem na emre na mawa hoto swonso sese die sika manu di foforo kra any Top Connect so we yan chechemu bia for Top Connect our +442 081 6155 and a +442 081 761 600 +447 882 950 088 and nasa hwehwe Top Connect our befuntin tefidie nyina so Top Connect Fasika mani wa dofo sunjemu a untia kapre Top Connect yensu ye die
Abusia, let me go straight to the point. We will find wada. Once you attack and send me says so, your work is here. Come air conditioner, and also dumb air conditioning, and said that more casier, no crane say. One funny papa, and I'm installation now, Mountia. With everything called enterprise, a air conditioning installation at the Mawa, Odamo, a Rubia, okay, you. Never called room, it's a cold stores, and a Bavia, you didn't ever see, I was saying, you know, everything called enterprise. We had a nice one at your mower, a Rubia, no, but you dika. You install central air conditioning, split air conditioning, car air conditioning, never solar panels on SWA. You want a nice Eddie mower, or you be a bus straight, not the only your body will fee. So, what do you say? And our gas in a sense, say you'll come with the another dear, and our coast store dear. Nina, you had a very nice and quick, but we will be a remember yet the amount. Also, more bridge, I'm obviously dying, oh, my can one, over to me, I'm afraid you can lie with so. Yeah, be install air conditioning, Nibiamamu. Try glass 447508650279. Oh, wager, adjacent Ghana Fire Service. Wow, friends, 0544-489-343 and 0302-906276. Your website, you know, everythingcode.org. And I'll send you an email, kjamwako@yahoo.co.uk. Everything called enterprise, air conditioning, master, no.
NFM Radio, emu daho. NFM Radio, emu daho. Minia, see fire will burn you. I want NFM Radio. Jumedia Mansa Musa ede bro. Ejwada kopem memneda. Enumre non song. Ekopem non do. Listen to Fire Will Burn You on NFM Radio with Mansa Musa Monday to Saturday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Well, no. I am not getting into all those things. But, you know, it is failing. And you people should be asking them why they are failing. If you are given a chance to govern and you fail, don't expect to continue to govern. And that's not just for the new patriotic parties, for every political party. We don't, democracy is not just about elections. You elect so that people can govern, so that they can improve the people's welfare. But if you've been an abject failure, where we have a situation where, quote unquote, the fundamentals have all gone wrong, why would you actually be wasting so much time talking about beyond or breaking the age? You have not achieved your task, and the failure to achieve your task is enough to jettison you from office.
You think the finance minister should?
Well, no. I am not getting into all those things, but it is failing, and you people should be asking them why they are failing.
Sir Akufo-Addo, I'm telling you, I'm looking into the camera and telling you, say you are the joke of the century. You are the joke of the century. And sit down. Say you be via or by, say you see a trap by a VM. And sit down. You are the joke. It is a me case is via. Say, and then Akufo-Addo van side down. Or prepare one more electoral commissioner. Or offer the year and the deputy. Offer a Gabi as a Rotterdam. Edison, no offer Professor Tibedia to Uncle Fafemi, Professor Tibedia to you. One funny person, our young one of Bush are falling na young for no form of electoral commission or Abna Kofi Young Abena on so many now from Kubu. Abaya between MPP being on my way above. Obi anyone who can have one, who MPP said, and now MPP. For 4 years to Christo, for Muhammad, concerning Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But now say, yes, and a flag bearer, concerning Muhammad, and a running mate, young Twaba in the name of MPP. Omubari Poto for the first time in the history, yes, Muhammad Berry. Was young dear, young Chasu Penny. How he will be the best of the joke of this century. He should dare. And he bra, Yadiba Twabano. And to be with this and for her or Park for the name electoral commissioner. Chabani ever to police station. I never got to electoral commission. Electoral police station. You and your dear, or Mupa, or Muntin Ghana Fonsa, near bedroom. Now they bedroom. And when say we are saying, says we utop me kwa utop udokna ya digital.
NDC the United Kingdom the Ireland chapter na rokon ku har wa yau ku vote ku ba chairman akwa shi kada ne wanda in Allah ya yarda ya win ya zama chairman zai kawo welfare program da zai taimaka muku ya taimaka ma party mu. Daga cikin wannan welfare program dukkan member da ke neman taimako lokacin da ya shiga cikin masuwa abin da ya kama daga 50 pounds zuwa 400 pounds welfare program na ya tabbatar a baka a taimaka maka in Allah ya maka dalili ka biya wannan kudi. Bayan haka kuma dukkan memba da ke neman wani taimako sha'anin batun takardun shi ko wurin zama ya ajiye manya da lauyoyi da kowane lokaci kake neman advice ko kake neman wani lawyer da zai taimaka maka akan batun sha'anin zaman ka a kasar United Kingdom shi kuma su bi bayan ka su taimaka maka su saya maka ka biya wani abu kadan da yake in ka je waje zaka doki lawyer ba da ka same shi haka nan ba. Muna rokonka member NDC da ke United Kingdom ko Ireland in lokacin vote ya kai ka vote ka ba chairman akwa shi kare ne wanda yake zai taimaka ma party mu a lokacin da muke ciki. Wannan shine sanarwa ko wannan shine abin da muke roko ku taimaka mishi Allah kuma ya taimaka mu duka gaba daya Allah ba mu nasara. Mun gode muku da ku saurare mu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Oh, yeah, vote for Doctor. I want a Sakura, the money who you fair. A Sakura bonus, so dear young boy. You're to a baby, I'm a coya, ready a bet to a papa. Dr. Joe Ajimai, you are no one. I want a Sakura, the money who you fair. Sakura bonus, so dear young boy. You're to a baby, I'm a young one, so ready a bet to a papa. Dr. Joe Ajimai, on no one. Dr. George Mase, on no day of a say, NDC Cool, oh, you can the island, the beginning of diaspora, a crab and shanty, Montumanuel. Dr. Joanne, what the Campo Moba, I'm a mebu. The Campo Moba is a papa, what the Campo Moba, my medina. Yeah, ready. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of Dr. Joe Ajimai. When in my papa, Dr. I could see a person on the one. Never party no money for any shit. Oh, yeah, on my papa, or Guinea, my two abandoned. Dr. Joe Ajimai said, Obey me kiss yourself. Party in the Benyan own office. My meetings are going now. Executive members, any department has been and some are doctor which is what is one at plus. So I will vote for him. Go and vote for him. Dr. Joe Ajimai on one I am. We gonna vote for Dr. Papa say. I am Dr. Joe Ajimai and go back to Amaro. Dr. Joe and go back to Amaro. Yeah, back to Amaro. Dr. Joe and go back to Amaro. You go vote and I go vote for Dr.
Right, 5 minutes past 8. Just bear with because we are trying to, my engineer is trying to get set up the Zoom thing. So we will have to bear with a little bit. It looks like we got a new what do we call it? New system, and it have to be programmed in. So seriously speaking, my producer is sorting himself out to get things done. Very soon it won't be long at all. Larawatu will say, I am ready and I'm joining. I have to send you a message. Just hold on a tap for things to be sorted out over here. Okay. Right, let's go for another sort of musical intimate whilst we wait for the Zoom to be sorted out.
Your
Right. So 11 minutes going past 8 o'clock. You're listening to Mansa Musa. It is Fire Benio tonight. One-on-one interview. We are facing some slight technical issues. So it's engineer money they are trying to sort it out for us. You can see a Zoom, but your new laptop here idea by say new laptop no mum say why not so din your friend now and friend we na ka say ades mi am say video yi aso kan e aso e wa ni ma enti aden na ntumi show munya butre na ibekọ yenim
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello? Okay, now me too. Yeah, I guess I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. Yeah, this is Mansa Musa. Obviously, we can hear you, but a bit of a technical issue. We are not getting it right into the system. Now I can see you. Can you see me? I cannot see. Me hunu loud and clear. So known to me home. What can that be? Ben who say MD I cable me ye free more. So where can you? Okay. Let's connect this quickly. Yeah, we are here the old laptop no cry here. New laptop you need this and a portrait yeah. Hello, Kwabena, good evening. Kwabena, can you hear me? Hello, Kwabena, what do you make? Okay. Ben, the sound is not going through the system. Yeah, not from you. I'm talking to my engineer. Ben. I thought I've done that. Before you came in, I was watching football. The sound was going through all right. So, what is it now? Anyone there? Can anyone hear me? Okay, but me na person can be here so be kasa be ba system ni mo because at the moment o kasa me ti ewo laptop no so me ti wo radio no so. Yes. Yes. That's what I've connected. And yet they are awful do now what they go corner hono. You mean the other one? I know. Okay, I guess. Okay, let's see. If it's this one, let's see. Yeah. I hear two. And about here splitter. I just said, how do I? Okay. One second, let's do that. Right. Kwabena, what you make? Ben, if you can unmute me so I can ask him something then. Hello, Mr. Agyapong, can you hear me? What you make? Okay. Mr. Agyapong, what you make? Kwabena, what you make? Okay. Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Agyapong? Me na maintaining kan wa ha. Hello. Yeah, Mr. Musa, your mouth is moving, but I know you can hear me. I cannot hear you. For some reason, I don't know. But hopefully, if you can hear me, that means at least we are getting there. All right. Okay. Yes, I can also hear you. My only issue that is nothing to do with you guys is that I can hear you locally, but it's not going on air. And yes, that is the issue here. That I'm trying to resolve with my what do you call it? The engineer, trying his best, but because it's remote and he's not here, he has to direct me what to do and what not to do. So it's most likely I'm doing something wrong. Hopefully we will resolve it. If we can get it on air, then we are there. Hello. Kwabena, what me cafe? Still out to me can I can hear you, but we need to get it into the system. That is the problem. Hello. All of them can hear me. That is good to know. Now then, exactly. I have already started a program, and it is a Zoom that I'm trying to invite you. That is now giving us problems. My program, I started doing my monologue already, but now we need to connect this one into the system, and now we have all these issues. Let's see. Yes, and also on the radio, you see, yes. I'm hearing you in the studio, but we have to connect it into the system. I know you have the crowd. You can still hear me, can't you? Pablo, can you hear me? Okay. Someone should say something to me whilst we are trying to open the lines. Okay. Right. Kwabena, can you speak now? Kwabena?
Good evening, folks.
Uh-huh.
Since you are on
Kwabena,
here,
I think I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think
Okay.
all of us can hear you.
I think we can start.
I see. Can we be connected to the studio? Everything's okay?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay.
So, here for Monfa, some slight technical issue. It wasn't about fault or anything, but a connection problem. Luckily, it is sorted now. So let's get straight to the point. More frustrated kakrano I mean, on behalf of management here, NFM Radio, these things usually doesn't happen because most of the things, in fact, one of the systems we are using, especially for this program, is even very new. It's a new system we are using, and it shouldn't have been like this. But we got there in the end. So, Mr. Kwabena Age Agyapong, and welcome to NFM. The other time we met on a different television station. This is also different. So, as at when you come to London, this is much more posher. We got a bigger studio for the radio and a bigger studio for the TV. So when you come, whichever one you want to have, we'll be ready to have you. Anyway, I invited you for you to come and express and tell Ghanaians what your plans are. Many people I meet and talk to about this flag bearership thing is don't mind them. They are all trying to expose themselves. They know they won't win anyway. But coming to think about all this, I'm thinking, if really there should be an NPP government next time around, people are somehow disgruntled about with what is going on now. And so there should be a clean change, a clean sweep. And you and your face and your new set of people will be the type of change maybe Ghanaians want. Before I leave you to explain or say you concur with me, let me ask you about your academic, educational, your profile, the offices you've held previously and which ones you hold now. Tell us about yourself, Kwabena.
Well, I was born in Kumasi on Independence Day, 1962. So I'm a bit of an old man. Yeah, I schooled primary school in Kumasi, Royal International, where I took my common entrance exams. I've seen one of my seniors here, and I went to Mfansipim, secondary education in Cape Coast, did my O levels and A levels, and then moved on to then we used to call it University of Science and Technology, Tech. Finished civil engineering, 1986. Started my working life at Ghana Highway Authority as a young civil engineer. And that's where I was for quite some time. But of course, by that time I had gotten involved in a lot of the politicking. And we all know from history what happened in 1982. I was a young first-year student on campus when my dad was one of the 3 High Court judges who were kidnapped and murdered. That event really stoked a fire in me, and I decided that I would do whatever is possible to help bring the country back to civilian administration. So even on campus, I was politically active. Of course, when I left campus and started working in Accra, that was the time the nation was moving towards the return of democratic rule. And in those days, we formed a group called the Young Executive Forum in 1989, 1990. There were quite a lot of young guys who had just started their own business, the likes of Kwabena Age Agyapong, who was our secretary, former foreign minister, Akwesi Oseje, Dr. Heyman, Dr. Osei, who is now my Rehine in Menchia, Sio Benin, Peter McMenu, Kwame Batel, Cecilia Dapa, Courage Pashiga, myself, Kwabena Age Agyapong, and many others. Abwaji J, Maximilian, those of you who've heard the name, is now passed on. Osei Kwabena, who was a businessman and accountant, used to own Shege ties. And this group of people at that time were very dedicated to support a liberal tradition like the NPP. And so we played a very major role in the formation of the NPP in 1992. In spite of the fact that the party had been consigned to opposition for many years, it came as no surprise when we became the first party to buy a national headquarters in Kumasi. And all of us made contributions. Of course, I was a very young civil engineer, barely 30 years, so my contribution was very modest. But there were some business people amongst us. Most of us really were rooting for Dr. Kwame Safodu. But at the end of the Congress in Legon in 1992, when Professor Dubois won, the beautiful thing in those days, it was Dr. Safodu who ushered all of us to Professor Dubois' residence in airport, those of you who know Templars Lane, and then handed us over to him. And the whole party worked together to support his candidature. At that time, I had become a bit of a national celebrity, hosting sports highlights on national TV. In those days, there was no pluralism in the media. It was only Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. So I would say I became a little bit of a celebrity quite early. And at the time, we needed someone to be the face and voice of the NPP campaign in 1992. Those were times of adversity. I mean, The revolution had chased a lot of people out. Businesses had been collapsed. Many people had lost their lives, had not been accounted for. So it was very tough to get people to volunteer to do that kind of work. I was much, much younger than a lot of the people who were at the beginning of the MPP. But the lot fell on me. I chose to sacrifice and offer myself to serve my party. So those of you who quite remember, in 1992, I was the one delivering most of the party political broadcasts on GBC. Unfortunately, we lost the election. We wrote a stolen verdict, and we chose not to participate in the parliamentary elections. For that election, the presidential election took place much earlier in November, and the parliamentary election in December. So the party, at a meeting of its National Executive Committee, which I was a member at the time, because the Young Executive Forum was recognized by the party for the work that it did.
Mr. Michael Owusu, please, mute your system. If you join, you are welcome, but please mute your system. Please go ahead, Kwabena. Go ahead.
Yes, so myself, Kwabena Age Agyapong, and Alan Martin, who were the two representatives of the Young Executive Forum on the National Executive Committee. And I happened to participate in that meeting that decided that the MPP should boycott the elections, the parliamentary elections of 1992. So whilst working as a civil engineer at Ghana Highway Authority, of course, I was also combining my two loves, which was politics and sports. So I was also hosting the sports highlights. There were many who felt I was a journalist or a lawyer, but it was just a passion that I enjoyed doing. And I continue to do that. But after the loss of that election, I felt that working in a government organization and having campaigned against the now President Rawlings, my progression as a civil engineer was a bit in jeopardy. Not that I was being pushed up, but I moved on a couple of years later with a colleague of mine to set up an engineering consulting firm, Constru Consult. We did a lot of major jobs working for GASEM, and then even Sintogo in Lome in Liberia, and also in Ghana, the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Education. In fact, if you go to Obuasi, there's a big housing estate. It's called the Tiny Roland Estates right now. That was a 150-unit housing estate we built from scratch. And we were the project managers, delivered on time within budget. I think the project cost was about $15 million in those days, completed around 1995. So by 1996, when we were moving to the election, Mr. Kufuor had then unseated Professor Edubuahin at our conference in Lagos. Again, I was a member of the National Campaign Committee, which was then headed by Alhaji Isaka Inusa at the time. That was the first time we were having electoral reforms. So we wrote the stolen verdict on the back of the fact that that election was run virtually by the military. We hadn't transitioned into the civilian administration, and the party protested to the world that we needed to have electoral reforms. So 1996 was the first time we were having participation of political parties at the polling station with agents, and that was the first time we had a strong room in the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Once again, I was nominated as a representative of the president to go and look after his interest in the Electoral Commission of Ghana in 1996. Then again, we lost in 1996. So whilst practicing as a civil engineering consultant, I still was very interested in the politics. And those of us who were quite young, and I would say hawkish, felt that candidate Kufuor was a gentleman, very quiet, the quiet type. So we opted for somebody a bit more radical. So I was one of the leading lights of the first presidential attempt of now President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, myself and the likes of Mr. Victor Newman, Brigadier Nunu Mensah, who had just lost the parliamentary election to Mike Hammer in Winneba, and then 3 MPs. So 96 was the first time we were having MPP MPs in parliament, 67 or so of them. Only 3 had the courage to come out in 1998 and say they were supporting then candidate Akufo-Addo. The 3 were Alex Kranche, Asante Achim South MP, his next door neighbor, Kwabena, and then the Cape Coast MP, Madam Christine Cheta. So what is happening currently, when I look at it, is only a repetition of what goes on in history, because people like to gyrate towards where they perceive there's a lot of resources or likely victory would happen. And so I'm not surprised whenever the current vice president moves around, there are quite a number of senior state officers following him. Unlike the rest of us, the other candidates, it's something that has happened in the past. We deal with it and we move. So in '98, the campaign was squeezed a lot. It happened in only a matter of 6 weeks. We mounted a very powerful campaign. That was the first time we were launching a professional campaign for presidential primaries and an intra-party contest. And I quite remember having the privilege to nominate then candidate Akufo-Addo at the Osu Presbyterian Hall when we did his launch, and we ended up losing in Sunyani to Mr. Akufo. In spite of the fact that I did not support Kufuor's candidature in 1998, he recognized my long-standing contribution and dedication to this tradition and the hard work I had done and the effectiveness of the campaign that we led from Akufo-Addo's corner. And so he invited me once again to join his campaign. By that time, the then campaign manager, Alhaji Nusa Isaka, had defected to the NDC, and he had then installed Jake Obechi-Bilamte as the new campaign manager. In those days, we didn't used to have the position of director of communication, but effectively, I did the work that amounted to what the director of communication does today. So in the lead up to the 2000 elections, I was representing the party in all the major news outlets. That was the time that we were allowing more media houses, Joy FM, Adom FM, and others had come on board, Metro TV. So it came to me as no surprise that during the 2000 elections, candidate Kufuor again nominated me to be his representative in the strong room of the Electoral Commission. This is a man who is a quintessential Democrat, in spite of the fact that I did not support in the primaries. He did not choose to penalize me for it. He recognized the skills that I have, the skill set, and what my contribution from a Dubois campaign to date at the time. And so I was the one who had the privilege of having to pick up the phone and call him that night to inform him that, Mr. Kufuor, you have now been elected as the President of the Republic of Ghana. And you could imagine the explosion of joy on the other end of the line in his house. So I was privileged to have been appointed his press secretary and presidential spokesman when he was president for about 5.5 years. Of course, by that time, I had become more actively involved in politics. So my partner was handling our engineering firm. We lost the election in 2008, and we all know what happened. I continued to practice my consulting, came to England for 1 year to the University of Surrey to do my postgraduate in environmental engineering, Guildford, those of you who know Surrey, in Guildford, which I completed, although I was a bit advanced in age, got a distinction. I was able to top a lot of the white boys. You know, I still had a little bit of my brain around me. So came back and then won the general secretaryship for our party in 2014, massively. Of course, the candidate then, the incumbent, was a very tough Sir John, but I was able to defeat him because the party people recognized the work that I had done for this political tradition, the service and the sacrifice that I had delivered to this tradition. But of course, my time as General Secretary was curtailed within 2 years under a slew of concocted allegations and propaganda and orchestrations just to remove us from office, myself, and then the party chairman, Paul Afo. Just because I'm known to be someone who is very firm and strong and who will not allow himself to be manipulated. And there were people who were a bit ill at ease with the way things were being done to be able to shepherd the party and build a strong party. In fact, it was only after we had been able, for the first time in the history of the MPP, to open accounts everywhere and stop the practice of sending resources to our constituency through people. We wanted to be able to resource our constituencies directly. I mean, the world had changed. Technology was available by the press of a button at our party headquarters or through our bankers. We could then resource our party people. I think some were not happy about that. And I'm sure you all remember the famous case of the rest of our party's monies, which were conveyed and put in an EcoBank account behind the backs of the party's chairman and general secretary. At the time that the chairman complained about that, was not happy about it, and his removal was orchestrated, I protested against that removal. And then, of course, I was also added to it and removed as general secretary. We were supposed to be on the indefinite suspension. Our party constitution does not recognize indefinite suspension. There is no clause in our party's constitution that talks about indefinite suspension. But for a party that has legal brains and luminaries, our party's constitution was set aside and we were unjustifiably and illegally removed. The fact that I didn't speak a lot at the time did not mean that I supported or I acquiesced. Before leaving, we had conducted all the internal arrangements in the party very freely and fairly. We did it in an even-handed manner, and I believe that the fact that we were able to win massively 169 seats in the 2016 election was due to the way we conducted that election. Allowed the party people to choose who they wanted, never tried to coerce them in any direction. That's the kind of advice I continue to give to the current executives, that for us to get the confidence and to reignite the enthusiasm of the base of the party, no attempts should be made to coerce and organize the direction of this upcoming primaries such that people will feel hard done by. So in 2016, in spite of the fact that I was on suspension, I mobilized a lot of resources, supported our party. But there are a lot of ministers now and MPs who I supported in 2016, especially in those days were three northern regions, Upper East, Upper West, Northern, Bron, Hafo, Ashanti, over 100 constituencies. Of course, as a former general secretary, who was on suspension, I knew the very vulnerable areas. So I mobilized reasonable resources to support our party.
Right. Let me come in here a bit. So obviously your part in the building the proper the rebuilding of the UP tradition cannot be how do I say overstated or overestimated. I mean, you are from the very deep from the very beginning. You are part of everything. You mentioned something about history repeating itself, and if it will be fair for me to say, you also read in history books that when Osajefo and his Veranda boys wanted to organize debate or the suggestion for Republican state, Republican sort of status for Ghana, then UP decided to boycott. They didn't want to take part. Then move forward to 92, as you say. Your UP tradition, now NPP, in a new form, decided to boycott the draft of or for the constitution. I'm just asking, do you think, in hindsight, you will say that you got it wrong?
That's not correct. The constitution. We supported the constitution. We had a referendum in Ghana in May 1992 that we campaigned for its adoption, although there were certain limitations and shortcomings. But we thought in the main, we wanted to move into democratic movement. Sure. We protested about the conduct of the elections in 1992. And anytime I have an opportunity, because now 60% of the population is under the age of 45. They have to be schooled on what has gone on, the journey, the difficult journey that Ghana has been through to get to where we are. In 1992, the elections were run by the military. They were still in power. We had not transitioned into a civilian administration. In fact, the electoral register that we used in 92 was the same register we used for the previous district level elections. And a lot of us were not interested in the district level elections, of course, in protest to the PND. And so many of our supporters were disenfranchised. That aside, we had an interim electoral commission led by Professor Josiah Ofori-Boateng, and political parties were not allowed any participation in the electoral process, very much unlike today.
You see, sir, I don't know, Mr. Agyapong.
So that
Mr. Agyapong, I'm asking about not about the elections per se, but the constitution. You know, are you saying that you took part, not you personally, but your party, your group, did you take part in writing, drafting of the constitution?
There were a lot of people like Osafo Mafu and many others who at that time the ban on political activity had not been lifted anyway. So that was, we are talking about the Constituent Assembly. But Ghanaians from different states of opinion, of course, the Ghana Bar Association and others, the professional bodies were not happy with the composition. But we ended up with a constitution that we felt was at least one step going forward, despite all the insertion of the transitional provisions and that kind of stuff. But a decision to boycott the parliamentary election, because it's important I make this very clear, because there are people who think that we boycotted the constitution. We did not boycott the constitution. We wanted to send a strong signal to the world, especially the diplomatic community and the donors who were supporting the electoral process, that we wanted to see reforms. In fact, as a result of our boycott of the parliamentary election, that is the reason why the Electoral Commission decided to work with the political parties in what has become known as the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. That was the beginning of IPAC. And again, I was one of the people nominated by the General Secretary, Janine Boateng, at the time, to represent the party during those reforms. So the issue of the thumbprint IDs, I mean, today, when you describe the electoral process in 1992, a lot of people will not even believe it. The ballot boxes were opaque. There was no way to determine whether it's already been stuck with thumbprinted ballots or not. Unlike what we see today, you see the transfer. All those things were a result of the boycotts that we boycotted that encouraged the world to recognize. We needed to send a strong message to the world that the country's democracy had to grow and had to improve. So by 96, we had a reasonable improvement. Not all. In fact, even in 90, we're still using thumbprint ID cards. By 2000, the then Attorney General Obeda Sama even went to court when the party was pushing for photo ID. So it's been a struggle to get where we are. And so it's not a matter of our tradition is the tradition that is the liberal democratic tradition. It's a tradition that has survived the 66 years of Ghana because our tradition was not built around any personality. It was based on principles. And that's why up to today, the names may have changed through Progress Party, Popular Front Party, New Patriotic Party, but it is the same strand that has brought us this far. And we have survived because we believe that all of us are equal stakeholders in our political tradition.
Right. The voice you are hearing in the face you are listening, watching on Facebook, and not on Facebook, but on YouTube, is that of Mr. Kwabena Age Agyapong. He wants to be the leader of the NPP going forward. Mr. Kwabena Agyapong, let me ask you this. Given that your background, your proper background is of the, engineer, you are an engineer, and I would say that I'm also from an engineering background, and yet I'm doing this job. But I still want to cynically ask you, why is it that Kufuor didn't give you a job to manage works, proper engineering, infrastructure work, instead of being someone who had to write his letters for him?
I'm sure you don't really, I say this with respect that that is not the work of the press secretary or presidential spokesman. It's a very important position.
You know, I'm being cynical. You know, I'm just being cynical.
Yeah, so I don't think the press secretary just writes letters. No, you are the face and voice of the president, and you also deal with public affairs and many other issues. And then to the beginning, you said that I want to be. It's not a matter of me wanting to be president. I've declared my intention to run because I think the time is right for we as a country, as Ghanaians, to change our mindset about what public service should mean to us and what party politics should mean to us. We can congratulate Ghana for having traveled the 30 years of democracy. And you mentioned, I mean, till recently, I was the executive director of the Ghana Institution of Engineers. Anywhere I travel, especially to world conventions, when the name of Ghana is mentioned, the kind of admiration and respect that they have for the country, because they know that haven't had this successful transition between the two major parties. There's not been a major issue in this country, and it's been successfully done, albeit with some difficulty and shortcomings. But it's a democracy that we have to protect. And in my view, after 30 years, we've got to take a step back and look at ourselves as Ghanaians. Yes, the politicians have to lead by example, but it's not just the politician. Ghana has, in my view, three major issues: social issues, political issues, and economic issues. Okay, so it is not a fascination of being president. I am very dedicated to the transformation of the Ghanaian psyche. And I think it is time for us to press the reset button and go back to basics as Ghanaians. If you look at a lot of the recent Afrobarometer surveys, the confidence that the population have in the political architecture has gone down significantly. You understand? So people do not even believe in politicians anymore. And so we need people who would be able to generate that kind of admiration and inspire the Ghanaian people, especially the youth, who are feeling very despondent and detached from politics. And if good people shy away from politics, then unfortunately, I'm afraid it is the undesirables who populate the space. And so it is important for all of us as Ghanaians to be interested in who leads our country. And leadership is important, the quality of leadership. I've said and I want to repeat it. It is time for us to have thinking leaders, dedicated leaders, public-spirited individuals. And I'm not saying so just because I want to be elected as president, because my passion is the transformation of the Ghanaian, the reorientation of the Ghanaian. That's why my campaign is based on what I call the new dawn, creating a new dimension, a new direction that is based and anchored on what I call the triple S: service, sacrifice, and selflessness. We need political figures who have these three character traits to be able to lead our country to the new dawn that I'm talking about right now. You speak to a lot of the young people who want to get into politics, and they think it's the quickest way to a meal ticket. But that's what I disagree. I was press secretary to president for close to 6 years. I did not abuse my position. That is the rank of a minister of state. You understand? Fortunately for me, I had become an engineering consultant. I had built my own home where I'm speaking to you from, where I continue to stay here, although I was offered government accommodation in cantonments and Laboni, because I didn't feel that was what was needed. We need people who are going to be selfless, who are dedicated to getting the collective good of our country. Because in my view, the centerpiece of politics is the welfare of the general population, especially the least privileged and the more vulnerable in society. So if you don't have empathy, if you don't feel the pain of those who are suffering in a country, then you don't have any business going around politics. So it is important for us to have this difficult conversation. It's not only about the politicians. I mean, recent reports, you can see what is happening in some schools. Headmasters and masons are misappropriating even food meant for kids. That is how bad things have become. in our country. Some parents have complained today that they need to pay monies to teachers in school to be able to ensure that their children are given prizes during speech day. There is moral decadence. And when there is moral decadence, we have to stand up and be counted. And I believe my life, as Mahatma Gandhi said, my life experience that I've been through, the trauma that I suffered as a kid, and the strength that I've been able to generate and survive despite all the shortcomings as General Secretary and revive myself, I think my message is my life experience. To be able to inspire the Ghanaian young people that whatever difficulties they face today, they can make it and by contributing to society. It's not what you get out of the system, it is what little contribution you can make to the country. When we were young, as I told you, during the formation of the MPP, with the Young Executive Forum, religiously, every month, all of us will make contributions into a central pool, ship it up to Ajani Boate at the party headquarters, so that he can use it to help manage the party and sort out the bills that he has to cater for. So that spirit of voluntarism, that spirit of dedication, which appears to have waned significantly in our country, that a Ghanaian can put their hand on their chest and say that I am a nationalist, I am a patriot of my country, and I'm looking out for the benefit of the community. That for me is the discussion I want to bring to the fore. It's not all about the victory that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for it because I think that we need more people in the corridors of power speaking for the general interest of the Ghanaian people. We are not put into office to pattern ourselves and our friends and our families. No. When you are made president, you are not even president for only your party. You are president for all of Ghana. And that mentality should be reconstructed. Because not long ago, the chairman of the NDC, the former chairman, I think, was saying somewhere, it was captured somewhere, no contribution, no chop. See, the mentality is you go into government to chop. That narrative should change. And that is what I stand for. I want to be an advocate for Ghana, an advocate for service, an advocate for sacrifice. I could have been in UK. In fact, in 1982, when my father and his colleagues were murdered, I was offered asylum. I chose not to. Some of my brothers are in London as I speak today. Some of my siblings are there. They elected to go that route. I said, no, I will suffer in this country so that I can make my little contribution to this country, to the return of democracy, and so that we can develop ourselves in peace. Because it is the realization of our God-given potential that we need. And we need a new dawn in Ghana. It's not about economic policies. As I've said before, we have practiced 40 years ago economic recovery program, ERP 1, 2, 3, structural adjustment program, SAP 1, 2, 3, FinSAP, HIPIC, what have you. We've been to the IMF, what, the 17th time
we are going to 18, apparently. Right, Mr. Agyapong, Mr. Agyapong, let me
that
ask
is
you.
the vision I have to recreate a Ghana that our countrymen will be proud to die for.
Okay.
That is what
so need. that is what you want to do. But as I say, maybe your work will be, circumstances will cut your work out, if I can say that, because you are being very objective, and being objective is almost like denouncing the status quo, what is happening now, completely. And this is what your own supporters, especially core supporters of MPP or from MPP, wouldn't want to hear or want to know. So you are in a dilemma. You cannot justify what is going on. And yet, if you are too harsh or too objective, you are not going to get a support. How do you navigate this, tricky situation?
Mansa Musa, political parties in this country need upstanding individuals, strong characters, who can sometimes even call out their parties when they are going wrong. Yes, I'm a party person. I support my party, and this government has done very many good things, and I'm a proponent of that. But it is important that we recognize that we are where we are today and we are not happy where we are. And in my view, and I've said this and I want to restate, we've had 16 years of a particular leadership. Since 2008, when then candidate Akufo-Addo was elected and he appointed Dr. Bawumia, they've been at the top of the party, the leadership of the NPP, for 16 solid years. I've been through 15 regions. I'm now heading to Ashanti in a week's time. You understand? And what I've picked up from the grassroots, there's a crying need for a stark departure from what they are used to. And that's what I talk about, a new dawn, a new dimension, and a new direction. That we need new energies, creation of different ideas. So it cannot be an extension of the status quo. More of the same will not work for the MPP in 2024. We need to reconnect with Ghanaians. We need to go back and inspire them and let them understand that we can do it and do it much better. You understand? So, yes, there are some who feel I'm a bit tough on my own party, but that is what human beings are supposed to do. That is why we have mirrors. You look at yourself and then you can adjust yourself. In my view, the Ghanaian people passed major judgment on us in 2020. When you look at the election results in 2016, a 63-seat majority in parliament, 1 million votes, popular difference, and then you come to 2020, just one electoral cycle, matter of 4 years, that dissipates to zero, and then the popular vote is half. They were sending us a very strong signal that despite the strides that we had made, they were not entirely happy with our performance. And at that point, I expected that we would take that on board, the president would take that on board, make some adjustments, like the football coaches do at halftime, make some changes, and make some adjustments. That hasn't happened. He has said he's happy with his team. I disagree with him respectfully on that. I respect him as the president, but I disagree. As a coach of your team, or as the president, you should be asking for more. You set a very high bar and demand results. I'm a civil engineer. I'm interested in outcomes, not just parroting programs. No. What is the outcome of the programs that we are doing, and what has been the significant impact on society? That's what I look at as engineers. Once you conceive and design, you have to build. When you are building, you have to factor in what we call redundancies to ensure that all shortcomings are covered. That is how society is. And so, in my view, as a country, it's not only this government after government have lived beyond our means. In life, you can only spend what you have earned. NFM Radio. And if you look at your home economics, you can't continue to borrow to feed your family. By the time you are off this earth, it will be a big debt. If you have a house to be sold off, and your children and your family will be in misery. And that's where we find ourselves. And I keep saying, if we don't impose order and discipline in the way we manage our finances, then we are heading nowhere. And that's why I think it is time for a drastic departure from what we are doing. I think with economics, we have to be very simple. There are two legs that any economy stands on. How much money you generate, which is your revenue, and how you spend it, which is your expenditure. You always estimate how much you generate, so you can never be 100% sure how much money. But you know what you are spending. And that's why spending cuts are very important with economics. And where else to start than yourself? And so I've always been a perennial believer in small governments, because I believe small, mean machines are more effective and efficient. And so I'm not saying so because I'm a candidate now. If you go back on YouTube and you check some of my interviews I had in 2004 and in 2015 when I was General Secretary on hot issues in TV3, I stated this. I think that this country can run with 19 ministers, cabinet, and every head of a ministry should be a cabinet minister. That is what the framers of the Constitution advised us, that we should not exceed 19 cabinet ministers. in their wildest dream, they were not thinking there will be more non-cabinet ministers than cabinet ministers. And if you look at at the country's constitution, every action of the president says on the advice of the cabinet. So that is the internal arrangement that is supposed to give the support, the knowledge to the president in the discharge of his duties. But president after president after president has had large government. So when I hear John Mahama talk about this, he's had opportunities. Government was also large, 87 ministers. So the 87 that we have now, which I think is large, I think we should have 19 and every minister should have one deputy. And so 38, now that we have 16 regions, if you add the 16, it's 54 ministers. That should be able to run. In fact, if you consolidate a lot of the ministries, you may even end up less than 19. But there are several ministries that I think are not fit for purpose. Ministry of Public Sector Reform. What kind of public sector reform have we seen in this country for the last 20 years? It hasn't delivered. So it should be out of the place. Should there be a ministry for parliamentary affairs? No. Because in my personal view, I think there should be a clear delineation of the work of parliament and that of the executive. And even the constitutional provision that ties the president's hand to appoint a majority of his ministers from parliament. But again, my boss, Kufo, who also was trained in the UK, they prefer the parliamentary system. Again, another percent. So they have about 80%, although they are supposed to appoint just 50 plus 1. 80% of their ministers.
Let me chip in here small. In fact, you've proven already that you are a proper communicator. You see, I thought, I've been thinking I speak for, I talk for England, but you are very formidable in that respect. Let me get a quick shot at our sponsors. But before I even go, it's very short. It's not long at all, so don't worry. Before I go there, let me explain that we should have started exactly 8 p.m. We started, I think, 8:35. So we lost over half an hour. So we will add that, so we are not going to finish at 10 o'clock. So those of you who are, just sitting quietly, listening, and those of you who have questions, I will give you ample time to join in, to be part of the conversation. So don't worry at all. Just give me some 1 or 2 minutes to run these adverts for contractual reasons. We got to do this. Bear with, please.
Thank you. I'll also just hope for a cup of water for this.
Say dear, yenam top connect so emanisika de bagana if we yasia fanani na yentia capre. Ane, aye free. Top connect a masika money I am rekra. You hear ne sa oba download it with Top Connect app no Play Store. Diama wo Android phone. And as we use iPhone so or Apple Store na download the Top Connect. Aye simple cra. Top Connect wa mind the radio num so Europe, North America and Asia. Woman wo dofu sika fa Top Connect so aye ntem na emre na mawa hoto swonso sese die sika manye di foforo kra any Top Connect so we yan chechemu bia for Top Connect our +442 081 6155 and a +442 081 761 600 +447 882 950 088 and nasa hwehwe Top Connect our barefoot interfidie nyina so Top Connect Fasika mani wa dofwa sunjemu a untia kapre Top Connect yensu ye dienye
Let me go straight to the point. We will find wada. Once you attack and send business, so your work is here. Come air conditioner, and so dumb air conditioning, and send up more cases. No crane say, one funny papa, madam, installation now, Mountia. With everything called enterprise, air conditioning installation at the Mawa, Udamo, a Rubia, okay, you never called room, it's a cold stores, and a Bavia, you didn't see, I was saying, everything called enterprise. a nice one at your mower. Every via no put you with the Kadika. You install central air conditioning, split air conditioning, car air conditioning, never solar panels also. You want a nice at your mower, or you be a bus straight. Now, you know what you will fee. So, what do you say? And our gas in a sense, say you'll come with the another dear, and our co-store dear. Nina, a very nice and quick will be you remember yet the amount. Most of more rich, I'm obviously dying or my can run. Open to me, I'm afraid you can lie with so. Nearby install air conditioning, Nibiamamu. Frank class 447508650279. Oh, wager, adjacent can of fire service. Wow, France 0544489343 and 0302906276. Your website, you know, everythingcode.org. And I send you an email kjamwako@yahoo.co.uk. Everything called enterprise. Air conditioning now. Master no.
NFM Radio. Emudaho.
Right, you are welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Tonight, it's not my usual monologue, one man talking for heavens. No. Tonight, I'm with a nice fella. Well, we may not agree on the politics, but he's a nice fella. Mr. Kwabena Age Agyapong is in Ghana as we speak, and he wants to be the flag bearer and maybe subsequently become the president of Ghana. And he has, taken away, or he said he has come off his schedule, as the Americans would say, the British or English would say, the schedule to come and speak to Mansa Musa here on NFM Radio, and so that is what we are doing tonight. Right, let's go straight to the point, and let me ask Mr. Agyapong that it's all well and good. It's nice to advocate for change and complete departure from the status quo, which is okay. But the overbearing, should I say, dynamics in your, in the events, of events in your party today or this time, it's all about personalities. The same personalities, people who are associated with what the change you want. No one is mentioning Kwabena Age Agyapong. We don't hear you. If somebody is mentioning Mansa Musa, I listen a lot. I don't hear it. I still want to ask you, you are going to find it difficult to get any headway through this, aren't you?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that, yes, I'm coming from a very disadvantaged position, considering what I've been through over the last 8 years. But I've made a lot of progress in the last 4 months. I started visiting the regions and the constituencies at the end of January, and I only now returned from the 5 northern regions. Mind you, the party has tweaked its constitution a bit because of what happened in 2007 when there were 17 of us. I was the youngest of the 17 aspirants in 2007. So we've put in a 2-tier system, a 2-stage process where if by the end of nominations, there are more than 5 of us, the party will go into what we call the Special Delegates Conference to cut the number down to 5. Now, the stakeholders of this Special Delegates Conference are known. They are not very many. They are the 275 constituency chairmen, the 272 regional executives, the 138 members of parliament, the 60 regional representatives to the National Council, 30 National Council of Elders, of course, all the past national officers, the former president, the current president, the vice president. So, and then 3 delegates from each of the 20 or so foreign diaspora branches. If we put it all together, I think it's about 900, no more than 900. So it's not a very big, but these are the cream of the party. And we expect that they'll be able to distill from the messages we are giving them the right caliber of people we think we need to lead this country to solve the problems that I'm discussing. So I'm not worried at all about what you are saying. I know the media is being schooled originally to present this as a two-horse race between the vice president and then the former trade minister, and now they've added a third person, Kwabena Age Agyapong. You understand? But if you look at the last polls that came out this week, it's very interesting. The so-called front runners are continuously losing vote from January as we head towards the elections. They're losing vote because, as I've told you, the feeling on the ground is that they don't want more of the same. They don't want an extension of this administration. And I've said to you, it's 16 years is a very long time. That's why in presidential politics, there's a two-term cap. And so they have been at the leadership of the party, and it's one ticket. Akufo-Addo Bawumia is a ticket. And we cannot extricate one from it and say, extend it for another 8 years. That will be 24 years at the helm. It's unknown. And the party people will not take that. They don't want that. So they can sit in Accra and churn out all the propaganda and all the stuff. I am confident when the votes are counted, that is when you see the shock. You understand? Because I can tell you that if I look at the last survey that I have seen, there was a global analytics, although I don't give a lot of credence to it. I, as a civil engineer, I like handling data and looking at figures. I can see that an increasing amount of the people they surveyed, 20%, said they will vote for somebody other than the three. That's a huge chunk. And in fact, the top two are doing 30% and less than 29%. So it means that nobody, and if you look at the visibility that the vice president has had and the promotion that they're trying to promote, and with all the official endorsements and all that, and you are still doing 29%, and the former trade minister is doing 31%, then we know that it is there for the taking. Kwabena Age Agyapong, yes, because he's got a media house, he's very loud, he's been all over campaigning, not even to the delegates, but campaigning to the country as a whole. So he's created a lot of, I would say, buzz. So I'm not surprised they are saying that he's moved to 21% or something like that. And then the rest of us, if you look at the rest of us, I am polling more numbers than Boache Jakun, also Free Akutu, who has been a minister for close to 7 years. And more numbers than Apreku is there. You can go and look at it. So I'm very confident that even as we speak, I'm in number 4 position. Although I don't want to give a lot of credence to that poll. But I think that, look, I have deep roots in this party. I was elected massively with 1,500 vote difference over a very strong incumbent Sir John. Although I was lying in my hospital bed in 37. And I have strong links. The people know that I have the institutional memory of this party. I was there at the very beginning, and so they trust me despite all the shenanigans that were orchestrated against me. This campaign has given me the opportunity to go and talk to the party and answer all the questions, and the scales have all fallen off. They even see that I've been so badly treated by my own people. But that's something in the past. I'm someone who God has blessed with a lot of emotional intelligence. I don't worry about things in the past. We are going forward, and I'm fighting my way. And I think that by the November 4th, the result that you hear will shock Ghanaians. I'm very confident that something else is going to happen. So don't worry about the fact that the media is being schooled to present the race as a 2 or 3 horse race. It's more than that. And as I'm saying, if I look at the component of those who want to vote for others rather than the 3, then, and I think that 20% is big. It's quite clear. Nobody is even doing more than 30%. So it's definitely going to go into a second round, this presidential primary, and I'm very confident. I'm very confident. There's a question here I think is very interesting. George Bobby from Belgium. And so, Mansa Musa, maybe he's talked about the fact that the two parties, NDC and PP, they always campaign on what they have built, and that's what they keep hammering. And this behavior is running the country into debt. I think a lot of what the sentiments is expressing is true, and I share that. I think governments are put in place to deliver services to the people. And for me, that is not what you should parrot. We should look at the quality of life, and really other better parameters should be looked at. In my view, as I've said, when I talk about the new dawn, I want to see things shift so that we don't run into debt again. And how best to start it? By slimming down yourself, and which was what I was saying. It may not save you a lot of money quantum-wise, but it will send a strong moral message to the rest of the country that this is a serious precedent, and it's not going to allow for the wastage of our resources. And again, if you look at some of the figures that have been churned out by the Auditor General's reports over the last 2 decades, first, the reports are always late, which should not happen. Will not happen under President Agyapong's watch. And then also the amount of money that is being misapplied and misused and wasted. You consolidate all that money, and it's far in excess of the paltry $3 billion that we are going to the World Bank cap in arms for. And they are giving us all sorts of funny, stringent boxes to tick. You understand? Just to be able to go and pick up that kind of money. In any case, over the last 6 years, we've been able to go to the Eurobond and collect 13 billion. It hasn't sent us anywhere. What will 3 billion do? So I completely disagree with the president and the finance minister on the direction of the economy. And that will be substantially different. I think we have to look inside, look at ourselves, look at what we can cut, to be honest with the Ghanaian people, and go to them with a budget and say, this is what we have earned, and this is how much we are going to spend. We don't have to be doing new projects all the time. This is a country that has no maintenance culture. And we are always eager to create new projects because every project becomes a procurement opportunity for people. There's no value for money. You know, things that should cost the Ghana government 10 cities, they sell it to Ghana government for 50 cities. A lot of our debt is buried in graft. That's a fact. And I speak I speak like this because I have reasonable experience.
You see, Mr. Agyapong, someone will say, or the argument is that just because you know yourself, in the end, you are not going to matter in a big scheme of things. That's why you are saying all these things. But let me try and qualify this argument and ask you that a lot of, especially neutrals, would, they would love to see not only the changes, but they look out for missing wealth for the country, whether it is genuinely missing, genuinely somehow mismanaged incompetently, or it's a question of graft, like you are saying. People, especially the neutrals, want the next president or next administration to chase up these the status quo, those in power now, chase and look for the monies. Surely, can you hear me? Surely, you cannot say that if you are elected, become president, you can do that one better than, let's say, the NDC people. Can you?
I don't think that.
Sorry, somebody is coming in. When you come in, kindly mute your system, please. Thank you. Please go.
Mr. Robert Queen Arthur, I think your microphone.
Hang on a second. Listen, sir, I will let you speak, but let me announce this. Look, the other time I was on this forum, and someone was in bed. This is not acceptable. Please, if you don't want us to see you, don't show your face in bed.
I came for a funeral in Kumasi.
Yes, but I don't want you to show us you are sleeping in the bed, and it's not polite.
Sorry.
Thank you, and mute your system.
Yes, please. You can mute your mic.
Sorry.
Don't worry. It happens.
I'm not in my. I got this one when I'm in Kumasi. for a funeral, so sorry.
Okay, do more microphone, no me pacho.
Microphone and no video, no why?
All right.
Now also wait. It's always up. I'm sorry about that. I mean, these are
okay. Some question no still okay yenko.
Mr. Robert Kweno, can you please mute your mic? Okay.
Okay.
And Mama Alice, mute.
Mr. Agyapong, oh. Hello, Mr. Agyapong, oh.
He's on mute.
Mr. Agyapong, why you need a mute until so bad on me too?
Oh, okay. I'm on. Okay. Sorry. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the focus of the president, the president has a job to do to solve the problems of our country. You can't lock yourself in history. It does not mean that the state has institutions that should work. Okay? The state has institutions that should work. And the president's duty is to make sure the state institutions are stronger and it works. And so therefore, if the Auditor General's report comes out, there are officers who are supposed to be named for various infractions. And they should be put to book. So it's as simple as that. It's not a special program for the president to go chasing people. I mean, this thing is there. The reports are there. I have said, wherever I have been interviewed, I will impose a very strong penalty regime that will discourage people from tinkering with the national treasury. Because there has been no political will to punish wrongdoing in this country. People get away with it. We all know about the banking collapse and the kinds of monies that these banks went to the central bank for liquidity support and misapply these monies in third-party transactions, sometimes even for themselves, and none of them has been punished. Once you do so, you're encouraging the next person to do the similar thing. But if you are the president and you take certain firm actions, and I want to assure George Bobby, I'm interested in doing things very differently. I've talked about how to downsize the government to show how serious I am. And then when I'm talking about austerity for Ghanaians,
NFM Radio,
I will lead by example for them to show, for them to know that I'm also going under austerity. So some of the government packs, we are in difficult times. So I cannot understand why government ministers should have limitless amount of fuel. No. And they are paid well enough to be able to go to the pump and sometimes buy from the pump. You buy from the pump, it makes you feel how the normal Ghanaian feels. You understand? I've been press secretary to the president before, the rank of a minister. I lived in my own house. In fact, for the first 2 years, I went to work in my own private car. I had worked as a civil engineer, bought myself a BMW 5 Series 535i as far back as 1995. What the government will give me is not better than that. What is this obsession with four-wheel drive? I mean, last year, I publicly had to say it, that when Ghanaian women who had cooked for students, school feeding contractors were owed money as little as 200,000, 300,000, 200,000, and they were under pressure from their creditors, then that's the time that you go and order a new fleet of cars for ministers. Cars costing about $200,000. As president, I will not accept that. And I think the president should have fired the official who undertook that procurement. But again, he's the president. I can disagree with him on many things, but he's in charge. You understand? So all these things, it depends on how you are. And as I said, with me, what you get is what you see. There are no tricks, there are no frills. I'm a very straight shooting, straight talking individual. And I
shooting straight, Mr. Agyapong. He's the one speaking. He say he doesn't mean his words. He will do what he says. Let me ask you. Okay, let me say that in 8 minutes, the floor will be open for everyone to participate. When you come in, unmute yourself. Just raise your hand. My producer will pick you up. Then you speak, concise. I mean, simple English, either English or Chiakan, whatever. But speak quickly, very directly, politely, in simple terms. Mimpe yemfanko wun sabun safe obia confused. You guys are better than me, so you know what to do. Anyway, okay. So what I'll say too is that if you go to New Face Media on YouTube, New Face Media, yes, you can watch it there. You can subscribe as well. Subscribing doesn't mean they are going to take any money from you or anything. No. Just subscribe so that it boosts our ratings and then we are all moving on. Anyway, let me ask my last question. Then the next questions I will expect from you guys. Mr. Agyapong.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want something to say something else, it's your platform. If you want to say something, I'm listening, Mr. Agyapong.
No, I'm just saying that there are already 3 people whose hands are.
Okay, that's beautiful. Right. So the point is, the last I want to, before I bring them in, is that you see every negative aspect of governance, how to run a country, one can say has gone or has become worse than it used to prior to, let's say, from 2016 onwards. Everything, inflation, this and that, all the money. Then when it comes to corruption, it's not getting better. My question to you is, what do you attribute this to?
I think I've said it, that there has been no political will to punish wrongdoing. And it is not only this government. This has been going on for quite some time. And we need decisive leadership that is prepared to take difficult decisions. I have publicly disagreed with the president on his stand on the finance minister, because when you're managing finance, and especially the economic environment, confidence and it's unquantifiable, but it's very critical. When there's a loss of confidence in the manager's life and people go on a run on the banks, the only thing left to do is to take decisive action and make changes. All over the world it happens. But he has a different opinion. I'm not the president. I'm telling you what I would do given the opportunity. That's all I can say to you now. You understand? And I will show zero tolerance for the kinds of things that you have talked about. And again, I believe Ghanaians are very law-abiding. When they know that the president is very firm on compliance, quality assurance, quality control, and the institutions are strong, I can tell you they will toe the line. But when they feel a certain sense of laissez-faire attitude, that is when they are encouraged to do the things that are going on. We are not going to change things, create anything, reinvent the wheel. It's all about how we properly manage ourselves, as I've said much earlier. We've tried all the economic models. The problem is not the economic models. The problem is the implementation or the lack of it. So if you are public-spirited individuals who are not prepared to tinker with our treasury, these are the people. I mean, when they tinker with the treasury, when the housing collapse happened in the West, major CEOs were rotting in jail.
Hello? Hello? Hello, Mr. Agyapong. Hello, Mr. Agyapong.
He's on mute. He's on mute.
Yes. Hello?
You went on mute or something?
No, I think because you are the host, sometimes you mute me.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, sorry about that. If my producer. Look, producer, if you can give me the opportunity to see the hands up so that I will call the names. So complete your sentence, please. Yeah.
I can tell from the screen here that there's one Felix Bar. So maybe we allow Felix Bar first, then we go to Comrade Yusuf, and then Sita. Sita is in German, I know Sita.
Okay.
So Felix, if you have your question, you
can. Felix Bar, yeah.
Good evening, Honorable. I'm Felix Bar, speaking from the Netherlands.
Oh, great.
I have a short question for you.
Yeah.
You have been the secretary of the NPP, and during your time, you tried to bring discipline and some reforms into the party. But unfortunately, you couldn't get the necessary support to do it.
NFM Radio.
And they ended up removing you from your office. So my question is, looking at the level of corruption within the Ghanaian society, it's not even only the politicians, within the Ghanaian society, how do you expect to get the necessary support to do the reforms you are talking about?
Thank you very much, Felix. I think we don't talk about leadership enough and the qualities and the values that our leaders espouse. It's the values that you espouse that will snowball on your cabinet and by extension the country, and they will know which direction you are taking the country to. Ghanaians are not a very difficult people. I mean, I've been around for a while. You know, remember even General Champion's time, and everybody jumped onto the bandwagon of Operation Feed Yourself. But what Ghanaians are crafty about is they always look at certain signals. Once they begin to feel that the signals are very relaxing and are allowing people, as they say in quotes, to chop, then they are likely to chop a lot more. I always use the example of some of the crafty public servants in the lands department. A lot of thousands of cases in court, you know, all because of greed. But then if you are a minister and somebody comes and says, oh, Mr. Minister, there are some plots we are doing some infilling and that kind of thing, and you are interested, so I want one, they will go ahead and sell 10. But if you don't want it, like I didn't want it, I was in government, I never chased after government plots, I never built up my real estate. We've had reports of people within 4 years build. Look, we need to even do what I call lifestyle audits. In Ghana, everybody comes across money and nobody will ask them any questions how they made their money. And we start just hero worshipping rich people in this country. That was never our culture. It was never our culture in the early 70s when we were growing up. All of a sudden, and it has been worsened by the social media. People now, even state officers, organizing lavish weddings in times when people are suffering. When you are a politician, you're a political appointee, you should have what I call sensitivity to the plight of the Ghanaian people. There are certain things you should not be showing off. Ghanaians, we did not used to be showy. Now we have become a very showy people. You understand? It's all because leadership is allowing it. I mean, if I was president and someone working at the presidency does that kind of lavish wedding that we saw 2-3 weeks ago, we'll be out of a job the next morning, straight away. We'll be out of a job the next morning, and the tax people will find out how the partner made the money to do such a thing. You know, we have to live a simple life in this country. And we have to be honest with ourselves. It's a tight situation that we find ourselves. And so I want to assure you, Felix, that it is all about leading by example and sending the right signals. That can move you a lot. So I want to reassure you that. There's Comrade Yusuf on the line. Felix, I hope I've answered you a bit. You're talking about I didn't. The powers that be. Well, you know, in Ghana, when you are very tough, you always have issues. You're either said to be arrogant and other things. Yes, at the time, a lot of the elders of the party, by me, kept quiet for that injustice to happen. Everything that happened about our removal was unconstitutional. The petitions that were orchestrated, petitions that were never filed.
Mr. Agyapong, we have to come in again. Somebody, I don't know, Miss Mesramu, mute your systems, please. You see, my producer is not with me here, so he's doing things by remote, and it's not easy. But please kindly mute yourselves. Galaxy Note 8. I don't know who you are, but
yes. My name is Prissy.
Yes, can you mute your microphone? When we are ready for you to talk, then you can unmute yourself. Right now, there's a lot of feedback on the phone, please.
All right, Mr. Agyapong, thank you.
Okay, so yes, unmute yourself. Thank you very much. So when we are ready, after Comrade Yusuf and the rest, then I'll call you, please. Yes, so I just wanted Felix Bar to know that it can be done. And this idea that everybody is corrupt, that the whole system is impossible to do it, I do not share that opinion. I am very optimistic. I'm an eternal optimist that Ghana can change. It can change when we, the leaders, lead by example, and then the rest will know that whatever they do, there will be zero tolerance for that kind of corruption and the things that, and even our attitude to business, our attitude to customers. I mean, things that should last you an hour in Ghana. You go to an office and they'll tell you, go and come back in 3 weeks. All these things gradually, once we build strong institutions and they know that there's heat coming from the presidency on the public services, it will improve. It will definitely improve. So I want to reassure you, Felix Bang, that yes, it is not going to be a one-day thing, but I think if you give yourself 2 years, you can make significant progress and a huge dent in this unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. I think I will now I'll allow Comrade Yusuf. Your hand has been up for a while, so if you can unmute yourself, Comrade Yusuf.
Yeah, yes. Good evening, Dr. Kwabena Age Agyapong. And thank you for all what you've said. And
Yusuf, NFM Radio.
Oh, yes.
Very good. Now you are talking. Now let's go.
Okay. So, Henry Kissinger once said that 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. And this is cited in Brian 1984, figure 1. As a political scientist, I always would like to, when I want to comment on a politician, I want to know what is their ideological spectrum. And I believe Dr. Kwabena Age Agyapong, being a member of the MPP, if you could tell us which political spectrum that you belong to, even though I know the MPP is a right-wing political party. You believe in privatization and all that. You also did say that we have exhausted all the economic models. But I believe there are numerous economic models, and I would beg to differ that we haven't really exhausted all the models. And there are still some models that are out there which I would have wished, as a political scientist, that Ghana would try that. We haven't had the opportunity to get those economies that are well versed into that models so that we could introduce it. In fact, the other thing I can say too is, what did you have to say about Brian Achampong's statement regarding the MPP government will not hand over power to the NDC, even if the opposition wins, and that whichever they will employ to ensure MPP stays in power beyond 2024. In fact, Dr. Nyaho Tamoklo, who is an MPP member, has come out to condemn this, and other politicians in Ghana and all over the diaspora, that his statement is a very dangerous statement. What have you to say about Brian Agyapong's statement. And the third one, which is my last one, is to do with the current status quo in our country. Inflation is 53.76%. Unemployment is high in Ghana.
This Ghana is not playing. What?
He's interrupting. In Ghana, there is, housing problem. People hardly can afford to rent. Before you rent a house, you have to give two years or whatever advance payment. Here in the UK, you only have to deposit 1 month. And there you go, you get your rent. No jobs, and you can see how people are, struggling in Ghana. And this is what your party's government has brought Ghana into. Have you been vocal against this? Because you are in Ghana. What have you been saying about this? Even though now you want to become, you want to be one of the flag bearers. What have you done?
We need to have the questions, please.
Oh yes, I'm done with it. I've just rounded up.
Oh, okay. If you're done with it, then let's give him the chance to answer, please.
Yes.
Comrade Yusuf.
Thank you.
I think maybe you didn't listen to me clearly. I never said we cannot try or we shouldn't try any model. All I said was we've tried a lot and all haven't worked, because I think the solution is not in just importing a model who likes thinker, but it is how we run our country. That's what I believe in. So if indeed you have models and you say you're a political scientist, we'll have to tap on you. I've had discussions with certain people in the diaspora, but sometimes when they are given tasks. But I quite remember there were some economists I met on a Zoom conference like this, and I asked them, assuming that I'm the president, and I say you are a think tank, give me the 4 key priorities that we should tackle and how we should go about it. It's been a year now, I haven't heard from them. So it's easier said than done. I'm a very practical person as a civil engineer. And in Ghana now, there are a lot of reports on the shelves. So I don't think we are in short supply of policies or policy ideas, but we would welcome new ones. So hopefully you can take my number off the system and we can communicate, and then I'll be able to tap some of your brains, Comrade Yusuf. So with the reference to the economic models, that's the answer I want to give to you. Right now, I think we need to impose order and discipline in how we manage our finances. Simple and short. You cannot operate a deficit financing budget for all these years because it is not sustainable. And we know where we are, it's not sustainable. And it's not only this Akufo-Addo regime. It started right from the figures you mentioned. We had figures like that even in the Rawlings era. So I don't want to play politics with it. Right now, as Ghanaians, we should draw a line in the sand and reset, press the reset button. Our attitude, our values, that, it has all disappeared. And this is something that is important. The soft issues are very important, to change this country. And I think that with whatever system we have, if we recalibrate ourselves and know that we are working for the interest of the public. When we talk about public service, it means exactly that, service to the public, not to ourselves. And we build strong institutions. So wherever you find yourself in a government institution, you have sworn your oath to serve society. That is very important. And that can only happen when we are leading by example and espousing those values. You understand? So yes, I share some of the things you've said. The issue about how you talked about housing. As a civil engineer, I'm very worried about housing. And governments after governments have not shown seriousness to housing. We spend a lot of money on other things. But without a place for people to stay, they can't live. And in fact, the way we build our human settlements is poor. You go around the country and how people live is something that has to be improved. which means getting together the built environment professionals, the surveyors, the planners, the architects, the engineers, getting them to work. To design. In Ghana, planning permission has been replaced by building permission. So you only hear of building permit. But an area should be declared a planned area before any development can be allowed. We implementing that, and we love changing names. We used to have town and country planning, which by its very name, you could know that they are planning the country for us. Now that has been changed to Land Use Spatial Planning Authority, LUSPA, very mouthful. You understand? And we do so in this country because we are not simple or not straight to the point. I am very results oriented. I like giving you signposts so that we can evaluate where we are and why we are not getting to our destination. So I'm going to be very different. Maybe it's because of my technical background. I'm going to be results driven. It is the impact of society, of our policies that matter. I don't care you building a hospital, but how many people are benefiting from that facility and what is the impact on our mortality rate or our disease burden? That is on public health. That is what I want to see. Those are the statistics and the data that I will be chasing as president. So with the housing thing, there are supposed to be laws, as you said. Why should people be taking 2-year advance? Even if you are a new tenant, it should be less than 6 months. That's what the law says.
Mr. Agyapong, can I come in quickly before the other person will bring his question? But on this housing issue, they say you have to give credit where it is due, and to ignore the fact that a very massive housing project, as we speak, has been left to rot, to disintegrate or what is the word? Okay, I use that word. I'm going to use another word. But to completely, destroy, left in the forest. We all know about it. People like you are not hammering the point strong enough to the governors or the handlers of the economy or the rulers at the moment that, look, this is bad, this is not right. This project must be completed for Ghanaians to live in. I've not heard you, going on strongly about this particular project.
Because first and foremost, in Ghana, a lot of the projects, we don't do concept planning. In fact, when I was executive director of Ghana Institution of Engineers, I had to question the technocrats at the Ministry of Works and Housing. They are some of my colleagues engineers who advised the government to go and put that large housing in the middle of nowhere. If you want to build a housing community, it has to be based on economic activity. Unless it was part of a scheme that you're going to have a factory there or something there.
So are you really saying that Seglemi should be, it's good that it's being, ignored?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is badly conceived to start with. And let's do things right. See, because you can't do a bad project and expect that you can.
Is Seglemi a bad project? I want you to.
Of course, I think it is badly conceived. First and foremost,
it should be left as it is.
So please, when you do that, you are not taking your time to listen.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've spoken about it many times. Sometimes, if we don't ask questions of our technocrats and we just dump everything on the politician, it is not right. Because there are technocrats who are trained and who are paid to do their work to offer the best advice to the ministers for decisions to be taken. What happens in Saglen for you to go and put, when it was supposed to be 5,000 units, apparently with the same amount of money, it has metamorphosed into just 1,000. That's another matter. Meanwhile, the country paid for 5,000 units. If you put in 5,000 units and you say occupancy is even 5, average occupancy 5, you are talking about 25,000 Ghanaians in that area. Have you designed any transit arrangement for them to commute to where they work? Is there any work arrangement there? So all these things have to be discussed. And again, it's not only the politicians, we the engineers, the planners. Where are they? Those in the ministry at the time, during the Mahama administration, who advised the government to do that, they should be questioned. It's not everything that we just have to deposit it on politicians because of political expedience. I don't accept that. I think that it was poorly conceived and poorly implemented. But having gotten to this stage, we've got to find a way of putting it to good use because it's so far from Accra. And so those who are going to live there, where are they going to work? You understand? So it's either you're going to create it into a military installation or something. We've got to think through that.
To be fair to ourselves, Mr. Ajima, Agyapong. Sorry about that. Sorry, big time. Segleme, I know Segleme Pong and all those areas. It's not massively far away from the capital. And a new township that is supposed to, that was what was supposed to be done. It's a new township. Surely it will require the transport links. It will require all the amenities and everything. This is not beyond the capabilities of human beings at this stage of our development to actually finish this project that now we are using excuses that it was badly conceived and badly, so it should be left to rot. And that is a concern to me.
I haven't said that. I haven't said that it should be left to rot. I'm expressing my views on something that, in my view, was poorly conceived.
If you win, will you finish that project?
We'll have a review of it. We'll have a complete
review. It's time for the other participants. Anyway. So whoever comes next, you can mention. I don't have the names here. Yeah.
I have my hand is up. My hand is up. Question. He hasn't finished my question.
Yes. What was Brian Champion's one? That was the last part.
Yes, Brian Champion's one. Yeah.
I think I was asked this question on Adom FM, and I expressed my view. I think sometimes politicians tend to get excited when they mount platforms and they speak out of turn. I mean, what he said, in any case, he's not the president. He's not in charge of the government. He's a minister and cannot say that when people have won, an electoral commission has declared results. Even when we were in government in 2000, I was press secretary, I was part of the government, I was in the electoral commission in 2008, and we lost by the skin of our teeth. We handed over power. So sometimes, I think that we should watch what we say as politicians, not to increase the temperature in the country. And it's not only him. Other people have said worse, So I think that we shouldn't be hypocrites, and just when it's just one person, then we jump on him and talk about that. I think that there was no need for him. I mean, you've just been passed as a minister. You should concentrate on your portfolio. There's no need to get into that frenzy and say that you do whatever. You can say you will work hard to make sure you are re-elected. Fine. But to create the impression that when the party loses, it won't hand over. I'm a part of the party. When we lose, we'll hand over. I understand? Right. That's what it is. We've done it before. So we should. I don't think I'm not saying that we should support that kind of speech. I don't. But I think sometimes we are overly hypocritical when we talk about some of these things. I don't want equalization, but I don't believe that political leaders should go on an errant behavior and start talking out of turn. And this is not the first time. It is something that has been growing in the country of insults, of disrespect. You can disagree respectfully.
Sure.
That is the culture that I want to see in our politics. The insults, it's not good for our politics. The attacks.
I think you've made a point clear now. I think the answer is good. Shall we get the next person if you can call him, whoever it is?
Yes, I think it is Sita from Germany. His hand has been up for a while. Sita, if you can unmute.
Yeah. General, good evening again, and good evening to everybody on this platform. Yes, my questions are in two folds, but a very brief ones. The first one I wrote it on the platform, but it seems the moderator didn't see it in time. In the decades past, youth in Ghana are gradually losing confidence in the economic and political system we run, and also the reforms that are being tabled before the youth. These youth are ready, or we have seen in recent days or the past year, the number of youth that are migrating from Ghana through Mexico and other Southern America to enter into America, and yet still the continuous and the increase in number of youth that pass through the desert to Europe is still increasing. When you become, or when you are given the opportunity, or let's say as a party, what would be the measures you would put in place, not to eradicate it, but to reduce it significantly? My second question has to do with the aspirants, which we are all gearing towards now, the party elections. Fair. It is really true. You go for super delegates and probably delegates. I wish you well. I hope that you reach there. But then I have come to realize that the trend of the political environment as of now has a lot of noise in it. And I want to ask, with your experience in politics starting from your youthful age till now, is presidency all about what somebody has done for a particular political party, or is based on productivity and satisfaction of the Ghanaian public? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll try and take the second question first, because I don't get your drift, but you see, it is the decision of the electorate to decide who their leaders are. What we, the aspirants, can do is to go there in respect and humility, express ourselves, and have engagements like we've had. Because if you want to be a leader, you should be able to allow your life to be scrutinized, both private and public, because the quality of leadership is important. And we don't talk about it enough, the character of the people who lead us. You know, so it's not entirely about how long or what you've done, but again, when you have shown in your life that you have been prepared to serve at the risk of your professional development, you are prepared to sacrifice. Those are very important virtues. You've shown a selfless attitude that even in times of difficulty, you did not lose hope and you continue to support your party. It counts for a lot, because that is the foundation of your character as president. You understand? So it is not for me to decide which parameters the electorate will use. The power is in their bosom. That's what it is. Unfortunately for the MPP, at least with the main election, there are about 200,000 delegates. Although, in my personal view, we should head towards a day in the near future where we have the one man, one vote. Every party person who has paid his dues and is of good standing should be able to cast their ballot for their leaders. But we haven't gotten there yet, because that is also a logistical nightmare. You understand? But right now, with the 200,000, that's 5 per each of the close to 40,000 polling stations, it's a good representation of the party. And they should be able to make a choice based on how we communicate to them. And it's not easy. I mean, to move from constituency to constituency, you know, you have to mobilize funds to have your vehicle, your team, you have to sleep in hotels. It costs a lot of money. You understand? So for me, there is no hard facts, or you can't restrict yourself to specific parameters, but dedication, service, sacrifice, and then your own record in government. I think everybody should go and defend their record in government. I know that my 5.5 years as press secretary, I would say, was impeccable. And most people believe, and I say this in all humility, that perhaps in this Fourth Republic, I was the most efficient press secretary that they had seen. The party people know me. They know how I've worked with them in times past. So they are prepared to trust me with their future. So it is not for me to decide who to trust or who not to trust. The most important thing is go and tell your story. And I do believe my story is my message. That's the trauma that I've been through, and by the grace of God, I've been able to survive it and still on my feet, coming to them. That should show you someone who has a lot of mental strength, emotional intelligence, and you need that for the presidency, because these are difficult times and you need people who have empathy, who've gone through a lot, who can identify the pain of the Ghanaian people. So the decision is for them to decide. So I will not be in a position to answer that question the way you want me to answer it, but I think we should respect what decision they make.
Now, somebody talked about, I think you talked about the youth leaving the country. I've been always trying to get the youth involved in this discussion. And I think the youth, everybody pass through your youth, but you always grow. And so when we talk about the youth, sometimes we talk as if elderly people also don't mean well. No. It's important that the youth understands that those countries that they are going to, it took the sweat and oil of dedicated patrons of those countries to sacrifice for the country to become developed. It didn't just happen. They had people who were prepared to ensure there was value for money on public contracts, that there's compliance of standards and regulations, and that there was quality control to build the societies that are attracting them. We should be here to do the same. We should be dedicated. If all of us could have decided to take the easier option and travel outside, no, I took a personal decision that I want to be in Ghana and contribute my modestly to support our development as a country. And that's what I'm continuing to do. And I think as a political leader, if we can lead and make these difficult conversations available to everyone, people will begin to feel a sense of belonging to our country. Sometimes the youth feel too detached. And now with the social media and all the negative influences and the things that they are seeing, it's a difficult. They are under a lot of peer pressure to do very bad things, because the explosion of the social media has brought with it some very negative things as well. And so that's why I talk about deep social issues we have in our country, especially in the urban, less privileged communities. You go and see the standards of living, the way the human settlements are designed, it purely does not encourage proper upbringing of young people. These are things that I'm very passionate about, even family planning, that we don't talk about enough in our country. So I hope I've been able to answer some of the questions. The monetization of our politics. I mean, again, what I've been telling the party delegates is that don't sell your birthright. You have to vote your conscience. It's time to vote values. It's time to vote your conscience. Vote thinking about the securing the common future, providing opportunities for all. That is what you should be thinking about, not for you. The word delegates means that you have been delegated the responsibility from a lot of people within your catchment area. If you go and pick money, you go and share it with the others, you don't. So that is selfish. We are talking about selflessness. So we want to encourage more of the young people and the delegates to imbibe what we, the aspirants, are telling them. And then I do believe that I'm winning the argument. My message of a new vision, a new dawn, is resonating positively. So I think it's important that we encourage the young people to begin to accept that this country is a great country. If you've been outside, Ghana is very well respected. Now is a preferred tourist destination. We can make it even greater, if we do things better and we sort out our civil service, our public services, and our orientation. So many things that we can do to improve ourselves. And I want to lead that. I want to be an advocate for a new dawn, a new Ghana, so that we can change this mindset. And sometimes we, the Ghanaians, are to blame. Because with the pressure we put on politicians, your own family members, you don't build houses, they tell her he didn't use his brain. You are going there to serve, not to go and fail yourself. So that narrative should be the one that should attract people into politics. Good people should be interested in doing politics. People with solid pedigree, qualities, and the love for one another. So all these things are important. And for me, that is what guides my life. That has always been the guiding principles of my life. That's why I believe in what I call the triple S: service, sacrifice, and selflessness. And if you don't have those character traits, no business
getting involved in politics. Because you want to be a businessman, go and do your business. So I hope I've been able to answer some of it. If not, you can remind me, but I think the notes that I made is for us to reassure and renew the hope of the youth in the country that they have an opportunity to be able to grow and realize their God-given potential when they stay here and make a contribution, whether they are a farmer in Ahafo, or they are a carpenter or a soldier. All of us have a role to play. All of us have a role to play. And when you look at our national pledge and you look at our national anthem, even the education in our schools, the curriculum, our kids, you are taught the national anthem and they want you to understand the words, the meaning of the words. You're not just singing it out just like that. So that commitment to our country, Ghana, that communal thing, that collegial mentality, that it's not for you alone, but all of us will be happy. That for me is missing, and I want to work to change that narrative. So I think I'll go to there was someone. Is he gone? I can't.
I'm here, Robert Kwabena.
Yeah, okay, Robert, please go ahead with your question.
Okay. Thank you, General Secretary, my General Secretary. Let me first apologize for my unkept behavior. As I said, I'm in Kumasi, in a room, not alone. So the lights, everything is okay.
Don't worry.
Then first, let me congratulate you for your bold decision to run as one of the presidential candidates and hopefully become the presidential candidate for MPP and the president of Ghana. Let me start from here. I've listened a lot. You know me and we know what we have done in this game. And I'm happy you mentioned your strength and as they executed your father. At that time, 1981, those people thought that they are bringing culture of silence in Ghana. Somebody talked about integrity or discipline, what you are holding on. Very few people, about 10% are. So it is not possible that you can become president because the rest, about 90% are not. I want to answer him by this, that in 1981, the executioners of the coup thought that no Ghanaian would speak. Remember, after that, student revolutions caught up. I got myself at a sixth form in Tama Community 1, beaten for 3 good hours. We never stopped until we got our independence, which is the democratic rule, the Fourth Republic. So my brother who is afraid or is feared of the fact that it will not be possible for us to have somebody who is honest, disciplined, dedicated to be president, I'm calling to allay your fears that however long it will take, it will come to pass. Majority of the people, they don't understand democracy. In fact, in my hometown from Mansa, I was nearly lynched for sending Dan Kwabena to the place. And in elections, only 5 people or so voted in the whole town. I didn't stop. By the grace of God, today, Community votes the majority of MPP. I'm not talking politics, but I'm telling you that it's a process that needs patience. It takes a long time to develop. What is happening today is so unfortunate. And I have sent a message to somebody to tell my friend, Akufo is my friend, that I'm very much disappointed in him. Not because I didn't for what I did for him in 2007 Legon and subsequently for 98, I didn't get any appointment. No, I followed him because he said he had a certain principle. And I have come from a very, very, very stressful background. So I'm very compassionate with the poor. So I thought he has that principle in his heart to give to people. That's why I'm very disappointed in him. Corruption under his regime is very high. Judges we hear
what I mean, if we talk about so many things under his regime, it's very bad. And I've sent a message to him that I am disappointed in him, that he should look into the mirror and look into his heart and reform. Again, you raise procurement issues. We have to be specific about some of these things. People have turned themselves, their ministers, turned themselves into business people or align with people who are not business people, or who are not politicians, and do business with them. It does not help us at all. And we have to talk about it if we want to be very disciplined. The money is sitting here. I've mentioned, if I was expecting that, yes, our oil agreement, I don't like how we did it. So subsequent personalities, including Nana Adron Akufo-Addo, how he stood to have said that, oh, look, we did a 30% or so, so I'm fighting to get 5% on it. On top of it, it will be a lot of money for the nation Ghana. That has not been done. I remember when I was a chief executive in Fanteman, coming fresh from MBA, there's this poverty alleviation fund that party people will come and take for funerals when they get funerals, or weddings when they want to marry. At the end of the day, marriages and funerals don't bring profit, so they cannot pay. And the auditors will come to us as chief executives to go and collect the money. And it was impossible. My own Asawambuati had become a local government minister. So fresh from MBA Finance, as I said, this thing, we cannot continue to do this forever. So can we find some investment venture that we can turn the money into to create jobs, so that those people who are party people, party apparatists, and these people were collecting it when they were in government, NPP have come. Can we do that? That was a national youth employment or so. And then all of a sudden, Zoom Lion came in. Zoom Lion in Western economy is a monopoly. It's not accepted in the economy. And now they have created sanitation ministry. What is the importance of sanitation? Is it a vehicle to do something special? Is it a vehicle to do something special?
Robert, I really share your frustrations, and maybe you have my number.
No, please, because we have sacrificed our life not because of money, but because I think that when you do it this way, the poor people, in my office as a chief executive, somebody has become holding a PhD by financial system and setup to help them to go to university and second cycles. Ask Professor Honorable Atuisuma, one of them is lecturing at the Methodist University as I speak. So that money for financial assistance, I could have just agreed with my coordinating that, can we find a means so that it will come to my pocket? So when we are talking about discipline, it must be in these areas. And I agree with you that we will then advance, because if nobody is talking, we are talking. I'm talking. Many people are now openly talking against their own government. In Kumasi, some of the rules are bad. So I told party people, that's NPP, we have disappointed you. Here is our stronghold. You have to send a signal to the president. This is the civil awareness we have to create, so that people don't come and take us, with all respect, as fools or passengers. The white people are not, they don't have any brain better than us. Kwabena, you are Kwabena, I'm also Kwabena.
Yeah.
So please, let us be fair, because this is not our output. This is not at all. It's not our output. This is not what, I mean, how can you make, with all respect, former President John Mahama a saint? That's a Grammy that you are talking of. The case, I'm sure, is in court. How many years now? Prosecute them before you continue. Deal with them before you continue. Why they procure money for that amount for a certain number of 5,000 houses and only 1,000 has been done? Prosecute them before you continue. then there will be seriousness in this nation. Maybe time is not there, so my brother, congratulations. We hope that as I send you some message, we'll work hard so that we'll save this nation and put it on the right foot. So thank you.
You've made me feel very happy because you see, we need more people thinking this way. It's not all of us who go into politics to look for money. Me, I'm very content with what I have.
Something went wrong in the system.
It's really at the bottom of the problems that we are facing. So thank you very much. And I want people to think the way you are thinking, that it is possible for us to change this country. All we need are people feeling the way you are feeling, Robert. The way you are feeling, that they have fellow feeling for the poor people. Then they will, if you haven't paid people who have cooked for school feeding, you won't take money and say you're going to buy fresh Land Cruisers, 200,000
to live in.
For ministers to sit in. I mean, that's the kind of thing. And I said this publicly in Ghana. So, Mansa Musa, if you are not here, so you don't know the kinds of things I've been saying. Because some of these things, they are not good. And we as party people, we should say it. It is wrong.
Yes, because those who are in government, if you look at them, none of them. Remember, after we lost elections in 1996, Abeku Dixon and myself, National Youth Wing, that bus you bought for us.
Yeah.
Two of us, the whole Ghana, on the road to some of the places, the exhaust pipe will burst and break, and we have to use our shirt to tie them.
Let's give other people.
Those they have brought them in government, they didn't know how we suffered. So they think that is good mind.
Yo.
Anyway,
all right.
Thank you very much. George, I think George's hand up for a while.
Yes, that's correct. I'm George. I'm George Broby from Belgium.
You said that.
Yes, I did send you a question. You answered very nice. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Kwabena, I want to call you Kwabena. It makes it easier. It makes it easier. What I'm saying is that some few years ago, in I think 2015, 2014, you came to Amsterdam. We had
the international conference.
Yes, and you were there. You were with the then candidate Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
We did a lot of good things together. We stayed there for 3 days. We enjoyed the conferences. Then we went to win the election. And when we came to Ghana, from the diaspora, we all followed the system, and we voted Nana as the candidate president. And Nana did something very nice at the time. He said he was going to work with the diaspora. I'm bringing this topic back into your brain to understand how big the diaspora has become a constituency in the Ghanaian culture. We have done so much, and we still continue to do much. We contribute a lot of money, which is our remittances to the country, which has become the third revenue when you take gold and diamonds and whatever. Our remittances have become a third one. Kwabena, when are you going to take the diaspora seriously? Some of us have become party gurus. Even though we don't serve in high offices in our branches and chapters, we still support in certain ways to help the branch go. This year, in May, 20th May, Belgium is having its 10th anniversary. And we are inviting everybody to come. Those of you on the board can come as well. But Kwabena, my whole question is, when is the party going to recognize the diasporas and making them a tool in our society. Our society, we contribute a lot of money, but we can still do more if we are properly taken seriously. And when are you going to take us seriously?
I think we have to refer to the facts. In fact, this Akufo-Addo administration, the one particular administration that has used a lot of diasporas. So I think perhaps maybe, in fact, when I was in UK, quite
NFM Radio.
we had a meeting with the party. And although the head of diaspora affairs at the presidency was a UK person, they were still complaining. You understand? So I think we all recognize the importance, not just the role that you can play, especially the exposure that you've had, and the different perspectives that you can bring to governments, even to changing the society. For me, that is what I'm trying to think through to see how we can harness that. It's not about just the positions, even having think tanks, thinking through issues, what new dimensions we should use, all that. So I want you to be rest assured that I consider the diaspora body a very important integral part of our development as a country, Ghana. So I want to reassure you that we need better engagement. And it's not just about filling positions. As I said, with this government, there's been a lot of people who came from outside. I can mention NCA, SIC, even SNED, a lot of people, all the chief executives from outside. For me, that is not the critical thing. The critical thing is the thinking to build an institution and a country that all of us will be proud of, that will allow the Ghanaian people to realize their God-given potential. So let's keep this engagement ongoing. God willing, if I'm the candidate, end up president, whatever role I play, I think the diasporan community is critical for our country, Ghana. But we need to sit and think and go through what in fact has to be done. Some have even talked about diaspora bonds and many other economic models that we can use. But it needs a lot of thinking, a lot of work. So even you guys out there, constitute yourself into a few think tanks. People have different skills so that you can compose some of these ideas, and then we can test these ideas and be able to implement the ones that we find suitable for our country, Ghana. So George, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Ajay Asante, I think your hand has been up for a long while. If you can quickly go through.
Yeah, okay. So good evening, senior members. I'm Ajay Asante, former TESCOM president for the University of Ghana, and I'm also a delegate secretary in Commonwealth 1B. Mine is not really a question. I think we've larged, that's the word I would say. We've larged engineer with so much questions. I will also commend him for his confidence in the country, because he's part of the few politicians, I think he has gotten it right, speaking for the youth and speaking against all these political malpractice in our country. So he deserves much applause that we have to commend him, so that it boosts his morale and also encourage a lot of people out there who has this voice, but they are incapable of coming out to voice out for the youth. I think he has done a great job. And he also said something about a party that I agree much about, that we've had 16 years leadership of a certain style. That's the Nanado Baumia ticket, which it has its pros and cons, but I think the cons are much more. To revive the core principles of our party, which we are young people. I'm just 26, but the group of folks, we've been able to read and know the principles and beliefs and tenets of the NPP party, and we believe that it's kind of going the other way, wayward a little bit. So we need people like Kwabena Age Agyapong who can speak up as a man to rescue the party. That's a word I'll use because I think we need a new style or the old principle style again back. So I think that's more my contribution for today. And more importantly, I think many of the people on this platform this evening are in the diaspora. So we are in the country still. So I think many of us are not familiar with the consistency of engineer on his programs on the television, in the local television. I think he has been consistent enough with his message, his style. I think most of the things that we are worried about, he has been talking about it. About the size of governance, the Saglame projects, diasporans being all being involved in the governance of the country and all that. I think we are also bringing more ideas on board. So I'm learning much more. So that's all for this evening. I think my own is just to applaud him for the good work he's doing, and I want to assure him that we.
Right. Is that it? Is it off? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Mansa Musa. As you said, my name is Dr. Ambrose. I have just a question, and my lecturer will say one question, answer all. It has to do with, as you are an alumni of my school, my cherished school, that's KNUST. So there's issue in Ghana about the destruction of our forests, water bodies, and others through illegal small-scale mining. And if you look at the data, it shows that most of our water bodies has been polluted with sulfuric acid, mercury, cyanide, and a host of toxic chemicals. And research also indicates that if we don't take care, by a few years' time, Ghana will be importing water, or we go back to the olden days where we harvest water like a country like Bermuda. So my question is, the government has sanctioned community mining, which is causing massive destruction to our forest cover, our cocoa farms, and our water bodies. What will you do differently if you have the opportunity either to be the president or to be in any other position, or even not in any other position? What will you do differently with the issue to do with the sanctioned community mining? And finally, please, what is your take on LGBT, which has taken a center stage in Ghana since Kamala Harris arrived in Ghana, and also the bill before Parliament? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambrose. I think because we are outside, but maybe if I knew your number, I'll send you a lot. If you go on YouTube and you Google me, you mention the name, you'll be able to get a lot of YouTube videos of my interviews, many of them. And part where I've talked about the issue about the extractive industry and the mines. It's not only in Ghana, but it's shocking that mining has not been good for Africa at all. In fact, I'm on record to have said that if we think that we can mine effectively, then we should leave the resources in the ground. Hopefully, maybe the younger generation or our grandchildren will be more patriotic, they will have more knowledge and be able to exploit those resources in a more optimal way. Because, I mean, some of the mining contracts, I think somebody talked about, I think Robert, some of the mining contracts that have been signed previously and are still in force, it is horrendous. I mean, if we have, God has blessed us with resources and we are getting 17, 15% of it, then what's the point? And it comes with the destruction of the environment. The issue about community mining, I don't even understand this whole concept, frankly. And some people have said I'm anti-mining. I'm not anti-mining, but the fact is, I worked in Obuasi as a civil engineer on some of their major projects, and I see the amount of money these big companies have made off us. And their executives are in Canada, Australia, UK, living large, and you go to the mining communities in Bogoso and Prestia and Buni Valley, and it's all poverty. Why should we continue to mine? The Angolans did something. They put a moratorium on mining,
NFM
and they were
Radio,
able to squeeze the percentage up to somewhere around, was it 40%, something like that? It's horrendous. In the meantime, we have Ghanaians who have been paid and working in the Minerals Commission, the Precious Minerals, and all the state structures that are supposed to regulate the mining industry. And the thing that worries me, every mine concession given carries with it the environmental side and the impact assessment and the regeneration of the vegetation, and all that. But they do it and they walk away and leave dangerous pits that have been drowning our kids. So it's all down again to management, leadership, and regulation, and enforcement of regulation and discipline. So for me, if I had my own way, I'll put a moratorium on mining. But as president, I'll call the officers and have a serious sit down with them and see how we review the whole mining platform, because it has never benefited Ghanaians. In fact, quite recently, there's been some reports in Al Jazeera of guys who have been caught to be stealing our gold per month, about $40 million. Strange figures. And I know of an audit report that shows a clear disparity in the production. So we cannot even guard our own production. The amount of gold arriving in the destinations about 5 times what we are recording as leaving our shores. Something really untoward is happening in the extractive industry. And now that I believe we've also found lithium, and lithium is going to be a major thing because of these electric cars, the batteries and all that. And instead of holding on to it and making sure that we become, resourceful because of what God has blessed us, we are in a rush to do things, and then we will lose out, go and tie ourselves down with some long-term contracts that do not inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. That is what I am against, and that is why I'm running. And I want to assure you, this is something that personally I really hate. Because if you look at those who are, the health of our citizens engaged in this calamity, when you see the videos of what is going on, it is shocking. I mean, these guys have now lost any sense of their own safety as human beings, and because of money, they are prepared to risk their lives. Those are not the values that we were brought up on. So someone talked about a rescue mission. Yes, what I'm doing, in my view, is a humble rescue mission for our motherland, Ghana. We need to rescue ourselves. We need to redeem this. This is a redemption mission. And I'm very determined. I'll do whatever I can, talk with the Ghanaian people. Hopefully, I'm able to win their hearts and minds and be able to win and change the country for the better. There's nothing else I can say more. Regarding the LGBT, I think I've been asked that several times, and it's on the EduTech also. I've said that, look, we Ghanaians, we have our culture, okay? But we should look at what is happening. Is the bill a hate bill? Whilst we don't want to encourage this kind of behavior, because when God created Adam, he created Eve. All of us are products of women. And marriage to us is between a man and a woman. Simple. There's no gray area. It's black and white. When Kamala Harris came here, she came here with her husband. Why is she coming to talk to us about LGBT? It's something we don't like. It's something that we should
really not, we can't allow anybody to come and advocate that in our country. No. But also we cannot, I don't think we should criminalize it. Because only 2 days ago, I saw a video doing the rounds in Kumasi. They stripped somebody naked on the just flimsy allegation that he's gay. If he's gay, it doesn't mean he should beat him up and kill him. No. So I hate also the criminalization of it. Because we were living in this country. When I went to a boys' school, there was always rumors of people doing these things. But we lived with it. In fact, I think that anybody who is gay, in view of these beautiful women in the world, has a problem that we have to show more love and see how we can solve their problem. Social welfare and counseling and all the kind of support, the social support that we can offer to people like that. Not to criminalize them and exterminate them from society. So that is my position on that.
NFM Radio, Emudaho.
right, Mufan check some slight issue with the connection. What we call the Zoom conferencing has stalled. Obviously, cover 6 minutes on our 11 here in the UK, and it will be about the same time, 6 minutes to 10 in Ghana. So I don't think it will be appropriate, and as there will be any need for us to go back to the gentleman in Accra to fetch him. Time is far already spent. Actually, we've been able to acquire a lot of what do you call it, information from himself. That is Kwabena Age Agyapong, who wants to be the flag bearer for the NPP going forward. Like I said, we only have to apologize for those abrupt end to the program. Hopefully, next time when we are doing stuff, it will be more accurate with things. These things happen technically, and sometimes you cannot help it. We are trying to re-establish contact, but it's not happening. It's not working. So we'll say thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who took part. And as for those who were behind, lined up and couldn't enter, we can only apologize. And next time we will try and do better. Thank you very much indeed.
Anyway, Ambrose, I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes. You'll be able to dissect what the proposal that I sent. So we will get in touch so that we can all contribute to the development of our country. And I believe if the leaders listen, we can change.
I just maybe I should have typed my number, but I can say it. It's on WhatsApp. It's 0544. 050544.
Or you can give it to the host so that if I need it, I can contact Mansa Musa for
yes, I'm just
the
putting
number.
I'm I'm just putting it in the chat so
okay.
Anybody can see it, and then you can send me a WhatsApp, and we can take it from there. So I've just put it there. It's in the chat box. So if anybody wants, you can just say hi, and then if there are any issues you want to discuss with me, I'll be very pleased to have that discussion with you, especially those. George was the one, and then the other one who is also an academic. You know, we need a lot of people who will help with the thinking out about. In Ghana, we are not thinking enough. You know, and even we, the political parties, we don't think enough. We are all politicking, and we spend all the time politicking. When you get into government,
engineer,
you know,
I want to.
Who is speaking? Sorry.
I want to. Robert Quinn, what I was. Yeah. Decentralization.
Yes.
When in our manifesto we had put in it $1 million per constituency or district a year, it was something I liked so much. But in my visit, when we came to power, in my visit to the assemblies, I see that they have the agencies in Accra issuing contracts from Accra to the districts. So the $1 million doesn't land in the account of the various MMDAs, which is centralization, and it doesn't help development. And I believe that we have to look at it the 2 years or more years ahead of us. People will say A, it should be A. If I go to Mankisim, why I was so mad when I was talking, go and look at Mankisim, the rubbish that are sitting in the Mankisim area. If you travel there, if you have gone to People's, whether you saw it.
Yeah, on the side of the road.
And if we have $1 million every year in the Fantima Municipal Assembly, you can see, if it is sanitation alone, you can see what we can do there. So it is something crucial and critical. I've heard that now and where I live, I think the MMDAs came to put the housing, and then I don't know whether it's Common Fund Administration or GRA also came to put it. So the property rates are going to be collected by GRAs. If there is no capacity in the MMDAs, we have to build the capacity. We have to build the capacity because the property rates are for the assembly's development.
Yeah.
So it cannot be collected by GRA. If you go to central pool, the money cannot be found. So that is an area we have to look at. It is very critical. When we're able to develop, I have done when I went there to 1 or 2 models, including my own relatives when I was struggling to come up. One of them is living there. And this year, I needed money. I couldn't get it in Accra. I went to him and he gave me the money. Sitting in my hometown, working from there. So, and it is a capacity I put in him to do work there. So there's no need for the person to come and live in Accra. If you have built that capacity, or live in Kumasi. Because people are living in Accra, Kumasi, where they are sleeping. I decided that if I had not made it, I won't come and live in the city, Accra, or Kumasi, or Taprade. I'll live in my hometown. So this centralization, we have to look at it critically. We don't have to say
guys, I don't know. I've been quiet for a while, but if you can
I also want to allay the fears of
can you hear me?
The messages from politicians, including our own branch.
Mr. Agyapong, can you hear me?
We know how electoral commission works. 19, and how somebody was saying that if we lose an election,
is that George?
Even as Santi will call Akufo-Addo and tell him, my friend, see to the handing over. And it's been happening. And it will not happen this time that MPP has lost the election. And now the number of Akufo-Addo says full hand over. It will not. It's not possible. What were my former the one I replaced, not was in NDC time. He was trained in Cuba, and he became a member of parliament for.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Well, if you can hear me,
yeah.
I think we've absolved enough. As it is.
I just want to end this one then.
Yeah, as it is, you know, it is gone past. It's gone past 11 o'clock here in the UK.
I know.
It's 5 minutes past 11, and it's 5 minutes past 10.
Okay.
So we have to bring proceedings to an end.
Okay.
I will allow you to finish your point very quickly. Then I will allow.
So what I'm saying
allow Mr. Agyapong to also run up, conclude properly.
What I'm saying that by his training, he was terrorizing people when he was a chief executive. So I use the same means to also put pegs on his way. And when I use the voice and he use the voice, doesn't mean that we are enemies. At the end of the day, we speak together. Then you tell, so for your brother, for your brother. And today we have democracy in Infantiman East, and people was able to win the elections there, except that we made a mistake. So that's what I want to chip in, that people should not be afraid of, this is just a political talk. We have said it from Jerry Rawlings' time. There hasn't been any fire in the nation Ghana. Even though investing in a nation, analysis of political risk is very important. The whole world, they know that the most peaceful nation in Africa is Ghana. Thank you very much. And God bless. Okay.
Yeah, I think what he was trying to say is to allay the fears. I mean, I know the NDC is just trying to heighten tensions because of the statement that Brian made, and they are running with it and making all sorts of things. At the end of the day, we've had successful transitions, even when it is by the skin of our teeth. So I don't think the most important thing is, as a political party, we should work to win the confidence of the Ghanaians, to regenerate our party at the base. Once I think we have that enthusiasm, I do believe that the NPP has the numbers. Anytime we lose elections, it's because our party people are dissatisfied with ourselves, and then there's apathy. So I'm very confident that nobody should be worried about the results of elections. Once they are declared, the will of Ghanaians, that is what is important. And all of us are here to make sure that the right things are done and not to create any inferno in Ghana. Okay, so Mansa Musa, I think I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful for the time. I'm always of the view that if you want to be a leader, be able to submit yourself for scrutiny, make yourself available for questioning. And I do hope that you'll be able to invite the other aspirants and take them through the same thing. So that the
I would love to. As we speak, I've sent messages to everywhere for telephone numbers. Obviously, in the quiet, which ones you can help me with, then we can take it from there, organize to get them here.
I will send you all their numbers. I know everyone's
brilliant. That would be very, very good. And so for me, I am very much appreciative of what you've done tonight. You're having the patience to wait, even stick with it when technically we're facing problems. And we're bringing it to a nice conclusion. It's a mark of a proper, man who wants to have things. I mean, you've demonstrated, because any other person by now, so Chalema, Bre, me call, find some excuse and run away. But you are a serious guy, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And I want to reassure all your listeners and all Ghanaians that in Kwabena Age Agyapong's leadership, we'll have a very effective and efficient presidency. We'll build a state machinery that works to the satisfaction of the mandate that the Ghanaian people impose in us. I want to reassure all of us that the triple S that I talk about, sacrifice, service, and selflessness, all of us can make a contribution to our country to make it great once again. On that note, I want to thank you for this opportunity and ask for your prayers as I begin my next stage of my trip to the Ashanti region to go and interface with the delegates. And I hope that all of you will support me in your prayers, be able to create that new dawn by redeeming our motherland Ghana and ensuring that the future is bright for the younger generation. On that note, I want to say a thank you to all of you for your time, and perhaps this is the opportunity for you to switch on your video and just give us ourselves a little wait. If I can see you, right?
NFM Radio.
Rudolph didn't speak. King Solomon didn't speak. Kubuati Lovinka. That's Dr. Ambrose. So, Engineer George.
We just love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure talking to all of you.
So they love listening to you.
That
is good enough, I think.
Cobra. Very well done, Cobra.
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful, productive week. On that note, I take my leave of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye and good night. Good night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Look